Chapter 238 The Shocked Lord Baihe. The shortcoming of the dragon-slaying hometown. This was indeed the Night Temple. However, the Night Temple in Blazing Sun City was only a small and unimportant part of it. This Night Temple that suppressed the entrance to the Abyss and prevented the Abyss demons from leaving the Abyss to invade the myriad worlds was the core of the Night Temple. At this moment, the Silver Meteorite Knight Rob was resting in the lounge. "Rob, did you just return?" A knight in black armor with a deep scar on his face walked over and sat beside Rob. He was the 9th commander of the Holy Temple Guards, Gilbert. They were usually in charge of leading teams to clean up the abyssal demons around the Holy Temple and launch regular counterattacks into the depths of the Abyss. Therefore, he was comrades with Rob, who often came here to fight. They were quite close. "Yes, I just got back." Rob nodded. "Where's the Temple Lord?" Gilbert asked curiously. "Teacher is fighting Meyersack at the Snake Pit. He should be back in a while." Rob shook his head. Gilbert was not surprised at all. Clearly, this was not the first time their Temple Lord was fighting it. As for the Snake Pit, its full name was the Viper Pit. It was located on the 74th level of the Abyss, Emerald Domain, and its owner was the Abyss Lord, the god of Nagas Meyersack. One was the king of Abyssal Knights, while the other was the Abyss Lord on the 74th level of the Abyss. Both of them were true god-tier existences. It was no joke that they could destroy the world if they fought. However, it was precisely because of this that the two of them would not easily engage in a life-and-death duel. Typically, it would be an easy competition to test the other party's condition. If they did not have a 100% chance of killing them, they would go back to their respective homes. Rob came back early because he was a little tired from fighting in order not to distract his teacher in the battle. Then the two of them chatted for a while. Gilbert suddenly thought of something and said, "Have you heard? I just heard that a human lord rushed to the mythical tier elementary grade in their lord battlefield activity among lords this year." TSK Tisk. That's amazing. To be able to rush to the mythical tier, even if it's only the elementary grade, means that the human lord is already among the top lords of all races. The Supreme Will has attracted all the races from the myriad worlds. It seems to have really attracted a good junior to our human race. Gilbert sighed. Really, which race is human lord? Is it the yellow gold tier human race? Or the primordial human race? Or the celestial race? Rob asked in surprise. The three humans he was talking about were the top human races in the endless heavens that he knew. None of them. It's said to be from a race called the Cerulean Planet. I think he's called something like the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Gilbert muttered. He saw Rob looking at him blankly as soon as he finished speaking. "What did you say?" "I said that the other party is the Lord of the Blazing Sun from the Cerulean Planet's human race. What's wrong? You heard about it too?" Gilbert said in surprise. "No, I didn't. I just didn't expect such a young and promising human lord to actually come from an unknown human branch." Rob smiled. However, he was extremely shocked. It was actually the Lord of the Blazing Sun? He had just met him in the morning. It had only been a few hours, but the other party had actually caused such a huge commotion? Gilbert nodded, not thinking too much about Rob's reaction. After chatting for a while, Rob said goodbye to the other party on the grounds that he wanted to go back to his room. Then, he quickly returned to his room. He took out a communication device exclusive to the Abyss and first confirmed that his teacher was still fighting through the communication status. When he saw that his teacher's communication status was activated, he was delighted. Since the communication state was activated, it often meant that the teacher was in a very safe state. That was why he could divert his attention to deal with other things. If the communication state was turned off, it usually meant that the teacher was focused on fighting or other things, and could not be disturbed by other things. Rob immediately called his teacher. Soon, Baihe's voice came from the other end. Rob first concerned himself about Baihe's situation. After confirming that his teacher was not injured, he immediately told him about the Lord of the Blazing Sun ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade. "I really underestimated that Lord of the Blazing Sun. I didn't expect him to not only be talented as a potential hero, he's also so good at being a lord." Rob sighed. However, but he did not give any response. Just as Rob felt that something was wrong with his teacher's reaction. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I understand. Don't worry about this and don't tell anyone. I'll take care of it. But he said calmly. Yes, teacher. Rob said respectfully. On the 43rd level of the abyss. A blood-red light was flying quickly towards the abyss wormhole and the night temple. There was a figure in the blood-red light. Who else could it be but the king of abyssal knights? By he. I knew this kid would cause trouble. I didn't expect it to be so fast. That taboo will. Is it really that powerful? By he muttered. The next second, he passed through the abyssal wormhole and disappeared. In the blazing sun city. At this moment, Zhou only knew that he had advanced to the mythical tier elementary grade, causing a commotion on the world channel. However, he did not expect that the fact that he had reached the mythical tier, as a human lord, attracted a certain amount of attention from the lords of the myriad races. Even Bai He, who he felt was a true god-tier big shot, was rushing over for this matter. At this moment, he chose to begin ranking again without hesitation half an hour later, after advancing to the mythical tier elementary grade. Matching with your queuing opponent. Match successful. Entering the battlefield. After the world changed, Zhou looked at the world in front of him. This was a vast and boundless silver arena. Surprisingly, the surroundings of the arena were scarlet. He looked into the distance. A technological mechanical barrier slowly stood there. Floating robots and technological arms that looked very cool were quietly arranged there. When Zhou saw this, he suddenly had a bad feeling. At this moment, a text notification appeared. You have entered the mythical tier elementary grade battlefield. You and your opponent have been randomly assigned to the mythical tier elementary grade battlefield, Starry Sky Arena. Your opponent is Machina Race Lord Black Radium Lord. Condition to defeat the enemy. Kill all the enemy forces within 24 hours. If you exceed the time limit, both sides will be judged to have negative battle results. Ranking -1. You have 10 minutes to deploy your forces. Countdown 9 minutes, 59 seconds. Zhou. A moment later. In blazing Sun City, Zhou and the others appeared out of thin air. They looked at each other helplessly. They had lost. An utter defeat. Zhou's dragon-slaying hometown lord talent was useless facing the Machina race that did not have any bloodline and only had pure mechanical technology. Under such circumstances, both his soldiers and his strength did not increase at all. The result was, after the other party's technological arms washed the ground, they did not even see the other party's shadow before they all died and automatically left the battlefield. Looks like the dragon-slaying hometown is not omnipotent. When encountering a Machina race or other races that have nothing to do with bloodline, the dragon-slaying hometown will become useless. Zhou thought helplessly. Half an hour later, Zhou fought another ranking competition. The enemy of this battle was a race called the Death Nether Tree. This time, they triggered the effect of the dragon-slaying hometown again. After a battle, they won the ranking competition again. A soldier suddenly came over to report something to him, just as he was about to rank again. Temple Lord Bai is looking for me? Zhou was stunned. Then he did not think too much about it. He let the soldiers rest while he walked towards the night temple. Chapter 239 The Story of the Dragon Slayer Night Temple. In a secret meeting room, Zhou saw that Bai he was already sitting on the main seat waiting for him quietly when he was brought here. There was no one else in this conference room. Bai he smiled when he saw him. You're here. Take a seat first. Zhou was a little confused, but he still nodded and sat down. Temple Lord, why are you looking for me? He went straight to the point and asked. There is indeed one thing. I heard that you've already surpassed most races in the Lord battlefield, created by the Supreme Will, and reached the mythical tier elementary grade. Impressive. As expected of the number 1 lord of the human race on the cerulean planet. Bai he praised. Temple Lord, you're too kind. I'm just a small lord who has just started. But did the news about me travel so quickly? I just ascended to the mythical tier elementary grade not long ago. But you already know about it? Zhou was a little surprised. You are the lord that even the Supreme Will cares about. It will also be related to the future lord of all races. Why wouldn't we care? Let me put it this way. All the forces of our high continent have begun to pay attention to all of you when you lord of all races first descended on our high continent. Just like the lords of your cerulean planet. In the territories of many lords, our human countries have specially arranged for liaisons to spend mist core to buy some information from you. So we know about it not long after the news about you spread. It's not just coming from you humans on the cerulean planet. We have such an intelligence agency for the other humans, and even the people of foreign races. Do you know how much we value you lords this time? He smiled. Zhou nodded as usual. However, he could not help but curse in his heart. I've been wondering why there were so many people hanging there every day on the World Channel. Previously, he thought that those people liked to gossip. He did not expect to be obtaining intelligence. So they were salaried. Zhou complained in his heart. Would they be considered a mole? We will also build an intelligence liaison station in your territory if you allow it. You're the #1 lord of your cerulean planet. The information you can obtain must be much more valuable than the information of others. We can also provide information exchange services. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. As one of the top forces of the high continent, the information we can provide will definitely far exceed your imagination. He smiled. Zhou wanted to refuse. There were many secrets in his territory after all. He did not want outsiders to enter his blazing sun city and know the secrets in his territory, especially a top organization like the Night Temple. Even though the other party had previously said that he would not take the initiative to interfere with the development of his territory, and could not even enter his territory, however, it was better to be safe than sorry. Once something special happened, and his secret had been grasped by the other party, he would not even be able to resist with the other party's strength. However, he could not help but hesitate when he heard the other party's words. His words made sense. Even though he had information-gathering organizations like the Heavenly Army and the Starfire Mercenary Team, they could only collect some information at the lower middle level because of their strength level. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, he did not even have the chance to come into contact with information at the level of the Night Temple. If he could really come into contact with information at this level, it would undoubtedly be very beneficial to him and the development of his territory. He thought for a moment and finally replied, "This is not a small matter. I will need a few days to think, is that all right?" "Sure, there's no hurry." He immediately admired Zhou even more. It was rare for someone so young to not be rash. "All right, back to the main point. I specially came back this time to tell you about you ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade." He said. Zhou was not surprised. However, what he said next stunned him. "You should have relied on the power of the dragon-slaying will to reach this level, right?" Zhou was silent for a while. He didn't expect him to see through his reliance on ascending to the mythical tier elementary grade. He suddenly remembered that his Dragon Slayer Kings will have been exposed in the Heroic Spirit Hall. The other party should have known that he had the dragon slaying will through this matter. At the thought of this, Zhou admitted it frankly. This was his lord talent to begin with, a reasonable product, created by the Supreme Will. It was not a cheat like a cheat. What was there that he did not dare to admit? After hearing Zhou admit it, he sighed faintly. As expected. Then do you know what the Dragon Slayer represents? What does it represent? Zhou frowned slightly. I don't know much about the Dragon Slayer. The heroic spirits of the Heroic Spirit Hall told me that you have the dragon-slaying will. He said slowly. Zhou's heart stirred. I don't possess an ordinary dragon-slaying will, but the will of the Dragon Slayer King. It seemed that even those heroic spirits knew very little about the Dragon Slayer and the Dragon Slayer King. The ancient Pale Whale Lord knows the most about the Dragon Slayer. He told me that the Dragon Slayer can be traced back to the time when the dragon race was first born. It has an ancient origin. When it was born, it was famous for its unique ability, especially among races with high bloodlines. Its reputation is even more resounding. That's why. It has also encountered the jealousy of high-level bloodline races. It didn't take long for a war against the Dragon Slayer to begin. very few life forms remember the exact process of that war. However, the high-level bloodline races of the myriad races suffered heavy losses ever since then. Several peak-level bloodlines were even exterminated. On the other hand, very few life forms have heard the name Dragon Slayer again. A few occasional times. However, I only heard that the Dragon Slayer lineage had completely declined. Not long after, there was no news again. He recounted the history of the Dragon Slayer in a low voice. Zhou's heart was also very heavy. He thought of the Lord Talent name of the Dragon Slayer Lord. At that time, it was still a yellow gold tier Lord Talent, and was called the last descendant of the Dragon Slayer. Which meant, the Dragon Slayer Lord might very well be the last lineage of the Dragon Slayer. After he was destroyed, if not for his Lord Talent reappearing in his hands, and being promoted to the White Platinum tier Lord Talent, Dragon Slaying Hometown, the legendary race of Dragon Slayer, would probably be completely extinct. Thinking of this, Zhou felt a little complicated. He did not expect the Dragon Slayer to have such a story. Chapter 240 Kingdom Token. Low-tier deity tier hero inheritance secret book. He had already guessed why he was looking for him. That was indeed the case. At this moment, he looked at Zhou, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Most of the high-level races that plotted to destroy the Dragon Slayer lineage are still alive. I know that the power of the Dragon Slayer is very important to you in this event on the battlefield of the Lords of all races. But if you continue to use this power, these high-level races might not be able to guess it in a short period of time. They might even think that this is some skill or racial talent of yours. But it will be seen through as time passes. When the time comes, the enemies you're facing might not only be the lords of the other races, but also the true experts of those peak bloodline races. Even enemies comparable to me might appear. He looked at Zhou. Actually, under normal circumstances, it didn't matter if he didn't say whatever he said just now as someone who had accidentally appeared here, because of Zhou's Lord Talent. He only needed to be in charge of nurturing knights. However, firstly, while Zhou and him were not from the same branch of human race, they were still from the same human race. As a senior of the human race, he was still willing to give him some care. Secondly, he had a metaphysical premonition. His premonition told him that as long as this Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him grew up, he would give the human race a huge surprise one day. As a true god tier, he naturally did not feel that his sixth sense was groundless. Someone at his level, any sixth sense, premonition, dream, and other specious things could be an omen of fate. In addition, the reason why the heroic spirits in the Heroic Spirit Hall opened their eyes was not only because of the dragon-slaying will, but also because they really felt that Zhou was qualified to accept their hero inheritance. But he did not tell Zhou about this. He had already achieved a lot at this age. There was no need to set fire to this. Zhou naturally did not know what he was thinking. He still thought that the Heroic Spirit Hall had opened its eyes only because of his dragon-slaying will, and not because they valued his aptitude. After a moment of silence, Zhou said, "Then what should I do next? Don't use the power of the Dragon Slayer anymore? I've already used the power of the Dragon Slayer many times." He could not help but smile when he heard Zhou's words. This young man, he was willing to let it go. Not bad. If he was unwilling to give up what he had, and still wanted to use the power of the Dragon Slayer to fight for the position of the strongest lord of all races, he would definitely not value him as much as he did now. He admired Zhou even more now. You still have to use it. It might attract more attention if it seems like you're deliberately hiding something. I previously understood the power and manifestation of the Dragon Slayer. To people who do not know about it, the Dragon Slayer's strength increased explosively when facing high-level bloodline life forms. It's very similar to using a forbidden technique. If that's the case, you can package it as a forbidden technique with harsh conditions. He immediately came up with a solution. Zhou's eyes lit up. This method was not bad. Thank you, Temple Lord Bai, for advising me. Otherwise, I might not even know when I'm in danger. Zhou immediately said gratefully. This Temple Lord Bai could be considered to have saved his life. Work hard, little guy. Bai He smiled and stood up before leaving. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Zhou looked at the other party's back view and sighed. He went away after giving him some pointers. This might be the big shot style. If the Night Temple could nurture knights a little shorter, this Lord talent is even more perfect. Zhou thought. It would take at least half a year to nurture a knight. This might be acceptable to other lords, but to him, who was developing rapidly every day, he felt that it was a little too slow. Then, he left the Night Temple without thinking too much. Zhou asked the soldiers to rest, and told them that there would be no lord battle today after he returned. Instead, they would conquer the other regions in an hour. He decided, in the future, he would only play for maintenance on the lord battlefield every day to maintain his mythical tier elementary grade. In addition, in terms of the dragon-slaying will, he also planned to follow Temple Lord Bai's instructions and make it into a forbidden technique. This way, even if the lords of other races realized that his forbidden technique was a little too strong, they would not think in the direction of the Dragon Slayer. In the Lord's residence, Zhou checked his title as the strongest lord and his event clothes. The effect of the title of strongest lord remained unchanged. However, the battlefield elite fashion had become the king of the battlefield fashion. Fashion name: King of the Battlefield Event Limited Fashion. Fashion grade: Mythical tier, enhanceable. Fashion feature 1. Reduces 20% of mythical tier and below damage by the wearer. Fashion feature 2. Leave the battlefield. In the mythical tier lord battlefield ranking, when one is at a disadvantage, the lord has the right to choose to admit defeat and automatically withdraw from the lord battlefield ranking if one has a mythical tier territory rebirth token. Fashion feature 3. Automatically obtain 200,000 battlefield points every day, 2 territory rebirths, 200,000 resurrection spots. Fashion feature 4. Same as before. Fashion feature 5. Comfort plus max, current fashion outfit completeness. 5/5. Introduction. Same as before. Zhou's eyes lit up. The battlefield elite has become the king of the battlefield. The familiarity is also maxed out. Moreover, this fashion special effect 3 is actually a real benefit. Not bad, not bad. The effect of this fashion outfit should be maxed out next. There shouldn't be any room for improvement. Zhou thought. He was already at the mythical tier. There was nothing more even if he wanted to increase it. Then he opened the battlefield shop. 1 kingdom token, remaining purchases, 1, price, 200,000 battlefield points. 2. Low-level divine tier hero inheritance secret manual, sanctuary tier purchase count, 1, price, 100,000 battlefield points. 3. Index of all races book 8. Remaining purchases 1, price 5,000 battlefield points. 4. Index of all races book 9. Remaining purchases 1, price 10,000 battlefield points. 5. 1 epic tier master servant territory contract. Remaining purchases 1, price 50,000 battlefield points. 6. 1 legendary tier master servant territory contract. Remaining purchases 1, price 100,000 battlefield points. 7. 1 gradeless territory fusion certificate. Remaining purchases 3, price 10,000 battlefield points. Zhou immediately became excited when he saw the first exchange option. Kingdom token. The most important item to build the kingdom was actually in the battlefield shop. Moreover, there was a low-tier deity-level hero inheritance secret manual. Oh my god, was this the upgraded battlefield shop? Chapter 241 Exchange. Special Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Zhou looked at the kingdom token in the shop and felt a little emotional. He had originally planned to ask the Night Temple about the kingdom token later. He did not expect to see it here first. Just as well, it saved him from owing the Night Temple a favor. Thinking of this, he looked at his personal information on the Lord battlefield. Title: Lord of the Blazing Sun. Rank: Mythical tier elementary grade. Number of rankings tries: 22 battlefield points. 440,004. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He had rushed up all the way. He had earned a lot of points on the battlefield alone, ignoring everything else. He could exchange for many things, and so he began. A kingdom token worth 200,000 battlefield points? I'll buy it. A low-tier divine tier hero inheritance manual worth 100,000 battlefield points? I'll buy it. The index of all races, Book 8 and Book 9, that were worth 15,000 battlefield points? It's not a big deal. I'll buy it directly. In addition, there were extraordinary tier and epic tier master servant territory contracts that he bought for 54,000 battlefield points. In the future, if he encountered a chance to subdue extraordinary tier and epic tier territories, this treasure could be used directly. However, Zhou felt that the probability of such a thing happening at this stage was very low. Therefore, there was a high chance that these high-level items would only be useful in the later stages. As for the last 3 gradeless territory fusion certificates, he also spent 30,000 battlefield points to buy them. At this moment, Zhou had already spent 399,000 battlefield points and had only 41,004 battlefield points left. At this moment, the only valuable item left in the battlefield shop was a legendary tier master servant territory contract worth 100,000 battlefield points. This thing was too expensive. Zhou could not buy it for the time being. I can't help but spend these battlefield points. Zhou sighed. However, he did not feel that he had suffered a loss. The things he bought were all very valuable goods after all. Then he looked at the details of these items. Firstly, it was the kingdom token that Zhou had been thinking about. Treasure name, kingdom token, treasure grade, extraordinary tier advanced grade, treasure effect. You can have the basic qualifications to build a kingdom with the kingdom token. Treasure description, certificate to establish a kingdom. Unfortunately, it's only a basic qualification. If only I could build a kingdom directly, Zhou thought greedily. Then, he looked at the low-tier deity-level Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Treasure name, Hero Inheritance Secret Manual, grade, low-level deity advanced grade, treasure ability. After using it, you can obtain the inheritance of a hero that suits your race. Introduction, a treasure created by the Supreme Will. It is connected to the River of Time. After using it, the user can obtain the hero inheritance of his race, who has the fate level slot of a lesser god. Zhou's eyes widened. This is actually different from the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual he had obtained previously. It was not the inheritance of a certain hero. Instead, he obtained the inheritance of a hero that matched his race. Zhou quickly realized the value of this slightly different hero inheritance. Not only could it be used by humans, it could also be used by life forms of other races. For example, Nazario. At the thought of this, Zhou could not help but feel excited. He and his subjects had seen how powerful Nazario was. It could be said that Nazario played a supremely important role in the development of his territory. This was only because Nazario was already so strong before he became a hero. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. If Nazario became a hero, wouldn't he take off immediately? Zhou had never even thought about the flaws of the hero inheritance. If this hero inheritance secret manual was only at the epic tier or legendary tier, naturally, Zhou would not give it to Nazario for the sake of a temporary increase in combat strength. However, this hero inheritance secret manual was a low-tier deity-level treasure. Nazario only had legendary tier potential. The benefits of Nazario using this hero inheritance secret manual were naturally greater than the disadvantages. As for the path that Nazario would take after becoming a low-tier deity, firstly, this matter was too far away. There was no need to worry about something so far away now. Secondly, it was still the same thing. At that time, with Zhou's Lord talent, he might be able to obtain an opportunity to advance Nazario. Therefore, there was a high chance that he did not have to worry about such a thing. I'll give the hero inheritance to Nazario when I return tonight. Zhou thought. He still had to go out to conquer the white-silver tier regional territories. He still needed Nazario to hold down the fort. There was naturally no need to mention the 8th and 9th volumes of the Index of All Races, the Extraordinary Tier Master Servant Territory Contract, and the Epic Tier Master Servant Territory Contract could turn an Extraordinary Tier, or Epic Tier Lord's territory, into their subordinate territory, with the agreement of the other party's lord. Then, Zhou gaze landed on the last gradeless territory fusion certificate. These were 3 rectangular golden contracts with strange words that he could easily understand, even though he could not understand them. The general meaning was that the fusion of the territory had been notarized by the supreme will. Even the god spirits could not stop and change it. Moreover, they had to admit that the existence of this fusion territory was reasonable. Zhou pondered. What he wanted to do was not to use these 3 territory fusion certificates now. Instead, he was thinking about something else. These 3 gradeless territory fusion certificates can fuse any 2 regional territories bordering each other. Which means, even legendary tier, epic tier, and even low tier and higher level regional territories can be obtained through this gradeless territory fusion certificate. It feels a little wasteful if I use it now. Zhou frowned slightly. The Blazing Sun Desert, he was in currently bordered a total of 4 regions. They were the Sand Gold Land, the Black Iron Tier Regional Territory in the north, the Eastern Black Iron Tier Regional Territory Thorn Dune, Fish Spring Town, the Green Bronze Tier Territory that occupied the west and southwest, as well as the Green Bronze Tier Calamity Zone in the south, the Sandstorm Forbidden Zone. If he used the gradeless territory fusion certificate now, he could only fuse with the Sand Gold Land and Thorn Dune that bordered the Blazing Sun Desert. This would definitely waste the value of a treasure, like the gradeless territory fusion certificate. Zhou thought for a while, and called Aaliyah over. "Help me invite Princess Leia over," he said. "Yes, my lord," Aaliyah said respectfully. Then, she walked out of the room to look for Leia. Soon, Aaliyah brought Leia and her maid, Yu Qiao, over. "My lord, why are you looking for us?" Leia said in surprise. "Your Highness, do you know about the territory fusion certificate?" Zhou asked. "Territory fusion certificate? I know." Leia nodded. Then he smiled. "My lord, didn't I tell you? You don't have to be so polite. Just call me Leia. Then call me Zhou too." Zhou did not pay much attention to addressing her. "Okay." Leia smiled and asked curiously. "Why do you suddenly want to ask about the territory fusion certificate?" "I want to increase the level of my territory. I heard that the territory fusion certificate can do this, so I asked." Zhou said. "I see. The territory fusion certificate can indeed do this. If you want, I can ask my father to send some over." Leia said after hearing this. Zhou was stunned. "Send some over? Did I misunderstand something? The territory fusion certificate is not a precious thing, but an ordinary treasure." Chapter 242 Complete Triumphal Arch Blueprint. Preparing to upgrade the Lord talent. That's not good. It's too valuable. But it's fine if we can purchase it through transactions. Zhou shook his head. Even though high-level territory fusion certificates are precious treasures, our Aurora Kingdom can still give out some low-level territory fusion certificates. Leia smiled. Low-level territory fusion certificate? Are there different quality territory fusion certificates? Zhou caught the main point of the other party's words and his eyes lit up. Of course. The territory fusion certificate has different qualities. For example, the Black Iron Tier Territory Fusion Certificate can only fuse the 2 connected territories of the Black Iron Tier. A White Silver Tier Territory Fusion Certificate can only allow territory below the White Silver Tier to fuse with each other. And so on and so forth. Even though our Aurora Kingdom is only an ordinary human kingdom, it's not a problem to give away some territory fusion certificates below the White Platinum Tier quality. Leia smiled. Zhou was pleasantly surprised. So the territory fusion certificate really had different grades? Then his 3 territories that could fuse any 2 connected territories proved that they were really treasures. He could stop using them for the time being and use the low-level territory fusion certificates that Leia mentioned. "How did you obtain the territory fusion certificate? Can you tell me?" Zhou asked curiously. "It's not inconvenient. It's no secret. The territory fusion certificate can be dropped by the fog monsters themselves. However, its drop rate is extremely low, and it won't only drop on one kind of fog monster. For example, our Aurora Kingdom has been established for nearly 600 years, and has killed more than 1 billion fog monsters. However, the territory fusion certificates that dropped only add up to 300 to 400 copies. Moreover, most of the territory fusion certificates are only low-level territory fusion certificates. This is because it's not only a problem of low drop rate, but the probability of it appearing is also extremely low. Li sighed. Zhou clicked his tongue. It turned out that the appearance and drop rate of the territory fusion certificate were so low. No wonder he had never seen a loot like the territory fusion certificate, even with a 100% drop rate, after leading his army to eliminate mini fog monsters. I'll write a letter today and ask Father to send over some territorial fusion certificates at the white platinum tier and below. Li said. Thank you. Zhou acknowledged. The territory fusion certificate at the white platinum tier and below matched his needs. After that, Zhou and Li chatted about the construction progress of the Aurora Kingdom Tower. To his surprise, Li said that the talent she had brought with her had completed all the construction goals quite smoothly during the construction of the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Tower with Zhao Changshu. Moreover, the speed at which the Aurora Tower was built was faster than anyone had expected. The first Diamond Elementary Grade Aurora Tower in his territory would probably be completed tonight. After Zhou heard her, he quickly thought of a territory buff that he had almost forgotten. That was the Green Bronze Tier Ancestral Enhancement, given by Lu Ban in the Imperial Ancestral Temple. Heart of the Craftsman. Ancestral Enhancement. Heart of the Craftsman, Grade, Green Bronze Tier, Enhancement Effect 1. Increased the efficiency of war machinery manufacturing in the territory by 30%. Enhancement Effect 2. Construction efficiency of the territory plus 10%. Blessing description. A blessing from China's ancestor Gong Shubun. The Aurora Tower is both a war machine and a territory building. That's why Elder Zhao and the others built the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Tower so quickly. Zhou guessed. He was naturally very happy. The faster the Diamond Elementary Grade Aurora Tower was built, the stronger his territory would be, and his ability to resist risks would naturally be stronger. Moreover, Zhou thought of something. After this Diamond Elementary Grade Aurora Tower was completed, he could completely use it to replace the dragon-slaying will and increase his rank in the Lord battlefield. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks this way, he would not have to use the dragon-slaying will to greatly reduce the possibility of him being exposed. He could also legitimately continue to increase his rank on the Lord battlefield. The Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Tower can already threaten extraordinary tier enemies. I wonder if I can deal with the top 10 abnormal lords. Zhou thought. While he felt that the Diamond Elementary Grade Aurora Tower was very strong, he had never underestimated other mythical tier lords. He could have such an opportunity after all. Why couldn't the other lords? Then he did not say anything else. After that, Zhou and Li chatted for a while before separating. After they walked back, Zhou asked Delia to call Zhao Changshu over. Then, he took out 7 building blueprint fragments from his spatial ring. They were the 7 building blueprint fragments of the Triumphal Arch. Zhou looked at them. Soon, a text notification appeared. Do you want to fuse? Yes, Zhou said in a low voice. The next second, he saw the 7 blueprints floating up one by one. Their edges emitted a golden light, then the 7 blueprints fused together and turned into a thin green booklet. It was the complete blueprint of the race building, Triumphal Arch. It's finally complete. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. It was not easy to gather this complete blueprint. He glanced at the building information. Construction blueprint name. Triumphal Arch, construction blueprint level. Special, unique, construction blueprint effect Triumph Glory. When the Lord and his military professional subject return victorious after the war and pass through the Triumphal Arch, if the promotion energy in the Lord and his military professional subject has already accumulated to more than 80%, there is a 50% chance of directly obtaining the promotion energy that is lacking and directly obtaining a breakthrough. In Strength Realm. Construction Blueprint Description. The blueprint of the human race on Cerulean Planet. Good news arrived from the battlefield yesterday for the triumphant return of the army today. Construction requirement. 10 million units of wood, 10 million units of fine sand, 10 million units of metal, 10 million units of stone, 10,000 units of forged stainless steel, 1,000 units of adamantine, 1,000 units of mithril, 100 units of 4 elemental gemstones each, 1,000 units of yellow gold tier mist core. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. After the triumphal arch was built, the efficiency of his soldiers' breakthroughs would greatly increase in the future. He had all the basic materials required. As for the rare materials behind the basic materials, he happened to have a portion of the materials left from the novice lord test last time. The rest could also be bought from Sand Gold City. At most he would spend some mist cores, so it was not a problem at all. A moment later, Zhao Changsha was brought over. Zhou handed the blueprint to the other party. Elder Zhao, I'll give you this building blueprint. After the Diamond Elementary Grade Aurora Tower is completed, you can build another one for the Aurora Kingdom. Then, you can start building this building. Zhou said. He was not in a hurry to build the triumphal arch with the blessing of the war god. Moreover, he had already promised Liya, and had a good relationship with the Aurora Kingdom. He did not want to be a treacherous person. Even though Liya might not say anything even if he built the triumphal arch first, Zhou did not want to leave the impression that he had not kept his promise. Reputation was still very important to him as a lord. Yes, my lord, Zhao Changsha said respectfully. After saying that, he could not help but look at the blueprint again. His heart trembled. It was actually another race-building blueprint. Then he was overjoyed. As a master in the construction field, he naturally liked to build difficult buildings. His architect level would definitely increase again when he built this triumphal arch. Zhou knew what Elder Zhao was thinking from his expression. He smiled and asked Zhao Changsha to bring the blueprint back. Zhou asked Aaliyah to return to her room after he left. Then he took out his Lord Talent crystal fragment and prepared to upgrade his Lord Talent. Chapter 243 White Silver Tier Insight Defection. White Silver Tier returned to the city. Zhou first took out all his Lord Talent crystal fragments. There were a total of 74 Black Iron Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 796 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 3 Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 14 White Platinum Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 10 Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 2 Legendary Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. Zhou smiled. Even though the people brought by the Night Lord today had caused him some trouble, however, if not for them, he would not have been able to obtain so many Lord Talent crystal fragments. Isn't it good to live well? Must you come up here to have a death wish and give me treasures? He sighed. Then, Zhou stopped thinking and began to upgrade his Lord Talent. He first fused 790 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments into 79 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine crystals. Just as he was about to take the next step, he was stunned. Fuck. It's actually not enough to upgrade the War God's blessing. Zhou was dumbfounded. When he obtained the 702 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments previously, he subconsciously thought that he would definitely be able to upgrade this Lord Talent with so many Lord Talent crystal fragments. He reacted now that he saw the number. It was impossible to fuse a Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine crystal. The corners of Zhou's mouth twitched. Even though he was helpless, he could only fuse 20 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine crystals first, and obtain 2 White Silver Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine crystals. Then, he could upgrade his Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent. Return to the city and Insight Defection. A text notification appeared. As you have 3 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talents, Gnome Alchemy Workshop, Insight Defection, and return to the city, please choose 2 to upgrade. I choose to update Insight Defection and return to the city. Zhou said. The Gnome Alchemy Workshop could satisfy his needs for the time being. There was no hurry to upgrade. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. The next second, he felt a strong warm feeling appear between his eyebrows again. Moreover, the feeling this time was far more obvious than the previous 2 upgrades to the Lord Talent. A moment later, the warmth faded. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your Black Iron Tier Lord Talent Insight Defection has been upgraded to Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Insight Defection. Congratulations, your Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Return to the City has been upgraded to White Silver Tier Lord Talent Return to the City. Your Mythical Tier Lord Talent effect is as follows: Lord Talent Insight Defection, White Silver Tier Insight Defection, a Lord's exclusive talent. When you fight the enemy Lord's faction head-on, you can activate the Insight Defection talent and incite 8% of the enemy Lord's faction to become your loyal subordinate. Lord Talent Hint 1. The minimum number of enemies for Insight Defection is 1 unit, and the maximum number of enemies for Insight Defection is 100,000 units. The loyalty of the enemies after Insight Defection is at least 85 points. Lord Talent Hint 2. Currently, the upper limit of the Lord faction level that you can induce Insight Defection is Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade Lord faction. This upper limit can grow. Lord Talent Hint 3. This talent can only be activated once a day. Jojo nodded in satisfaction. The increase in Insight Defection, which had been promoted to a White Silver Tier Lord talent, was quite obvious. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the highest increase was naturally from the original 5% Insight Defection ratio to the 8% Insight Defection ratio. Secondly, the upper limit of the number of enemies in the Insight Defection had also increased from 30,000 units to 100,000 units. The lowest loyalty of the enemies after the Insight Defection had also increased to 85 points. Finally, the upper limit of the Lord faction that could induce Insight Defection had also increased from the Diamond Tier Intermediate grade to Extraordinary Tier Elementary grade. I didn't level it up in vain. Jojo nodded and looked at the upgraded Return to the City. Lord Talent Return to the City, White Silver Tier. Return to the city. No matter where you are, you will immediately return to your territory and recover 60% of your physical state in the next 10 seconds, 3 seconds, after chanting the designated password. You can also specify 1,000 life forms, or 1,000 units of supplies, to return to your territory together. If the specified person is a life form, it will recover 30% of its physical state in the next hour. Lord Talent Hint. This talent can be activated twice a day. Jojo was also very satisfied with its improvement. Other than the number of times he could use the White Silver Tier Return to the City, his other abilities had increased. In the future, the White Silver Tier Lord talent, Return to the City, could play an even more important role by returning to help in time. Then, he put away the remaining Lord Talent Crystal fragments and the Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. An hour later, outside Blazing Sun City, 50,000 Blazing Sun Army soldiers were gathered here. Above their heads floated a black disc-like spaceship. This spaceship was about 500 meters in diameter. Even though it was not as big as the previous Ranger, and was only a third of its size, it still gave the soldiers on the ground a feeling that it covered the sky. All the soldiers, including Bai Yun, Wuxia, and even Nazario, who had the inheritance of the dragon race, looked up at the spaceship in shock and novelty. Everyone, stand under the black ghost in order and wait for the spaceship to collect you. Don't panic. Pay attention to the neat formation and maintain order. Teams of soldiers in charge of patrolling shouted. The soldiers arrived under the black ghost under the order. Then they saw a light released from the center below the spaceship and illuminate the soldiers. Then, these soldiers suddenly disappeared in the light and appeared in the interior of the black ghost. Groups of soldiers boarded the black ghost. A moment later, only Jojo and Bai Yun were left outside the spaceship. My lord, let's get on the spaceship first. Bai Yun said respectfully. Let's get on the ship. Jojo nodded and called for Bai Yun to come under the spaceship. After a flash of light, when Jojo and Bai Yun could see their surroundings again, they had already appeared in the black ghost. My lord, the room you're in now belongs to the captain's room. Here, you can instruct Wunya to do whatever you want within your authority. Wunya will serve you at any time. Wen Ya's voice sounded in Zhou Zhou's heart. What's the upper limit of my authority? Are there any restrictions? Zhou Zhou asked. The upper limit of your authority is unlimited. All of your orders are not restricted within Wen Ya's ability. Wen Ya said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked at his surroundings. After looking at it for a moment, he could not help but click his tongue in wonder. This very spacious captain's cabin not only occupied a very large area, it was also the size of a football field. Moreover, its internal facilities were complete, such as a bathroom, study, kitchen, bedroom, dining room, life detection and anti-reconnaissance radar room, driver's cabin and energy room. There were even a cultivation room, a gym, a projection room, a meditation room, an entertainment room, and other rooms that were unrelated to the function of the spaceship. The folding space technology is also used here, right? Zhou Zhou looked around and said. Chapter 244 The Speed of Black Ghost. First meeting with the Sandstorm Forbidden Land. Zhou Zhou looked at the vast captain's cabin. This captain's room alone would occupy a quarter of the entire Black Ghost, without spatial folding technology. Yes. The entire captain's cabin only takes up 1/1000th of the entire hull space volume, because of the spatial folding technology. Making full use of the space inside the ship, and ensuring sufficient energy. The Black Ghost can accommodate 200,000 human life forms for a year. A large virtual screen suddenly appeared in front of Zhou Zhou, when Ya finished speaking. The virtual screen was divided into 10 divisions. Each division had 5,000 Blazing Sun Army soldiers inside. He could clearly see their expressions through the virtual screen. He could clearly feel their surprise towards Black Ghost. Zhou Zhou nodded inwardly. My lord, where are we going? Ya asked. White Silver Tier Region Territory, Dust Wasteland. After saying that, Zhou Zhou handed the area map to Ya, and asked her to make a copy and store it in her data center. Previously, they had withdrawn halfway and stopped attacking the White Silver Tier regional territory of Dust Wasteland because of the Night Lord's surprise attack. Now that the trouble had been resolved, he naturally had to continue his previous journey. Yes, my lord, Ya said respectfully. Let's go now, Zhou Zhou said. As soon as he finished speaking, lines of text appeared in front of him on the virtual screen. As you command, Black Ghost is setting sail. The destination of this journey is White Silver Tier Region Territory, Dust Wasteland. Distance, about 174 kilometers. Time required, 2 minutes 24 seconds. My lord, please wait patiently. Zhou Zhou did not pay much attention to the first half of the sentence. However, when he heard that the time required was only more than 2 minutes, he was immediately shocked. How many minutes will it take? He immediately asked. 2 minutes and 24 seconds. This error will not exceed 0.01. Ya said. Oh my god. Zhou Zhou could not help but click his tongue. Without the help of external forces, such as Wu Xin's military formation or other treasures and skills, his Blazing Sun army would take 2 hours to go from Blazing Sun City to the edge of the withered forest plains. On the other hand, Black Ghost only needed more than 2 minutes. This efficiency increased by a total of 60 times. So this was a bronze-tier advanced grade spaceship? Zhou Zhou expressed his love. Depart, he said. Yes. As the spaceship set off, Zhou Zhou could not help but fantasize about the future, where his efficiency in conquering regional territories would double with the help of the Black Ghost. At this moment, he suddenly transmitted a message from afar. Have Zheng Fugui and the others arrived at the Sandstorm Forbidden Land? Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. Ya, call me when you get there. I have something else to do, he said. Yes, my lord, Ya said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded and closed his eyes. His consciousness appeared on the Bloodbat avatar, more than 300 kilometers away. Green Bronze Tier Calamity Forbidden Land, Sandstorm Forbidden Land. A caravan of 51 people and 30 carriages was standing at the edge of the Sandstorm Forbidden Land. It was the mysterious caravan led by Zheng Fugui and the accompanying archaeologist Gubo. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. At this moment, they were all respectfully surrounding a blood bat standing on the carriage with its eyes closed. They were quiet, their expressions solemn and respectful. Coupled with their mysterious clothes that were like the starry sky, it was as if they were welcoming the relocation of an astral world evil god. Soon, the blood bat with its eyes closed opened them. "Greetings, my lord," everyone said in unison. "Good work." The blood bat nodded. It was Zhou, who had just transmitted his consciousness. This was not the first time he had controlled a blood bat, so he quickly adapted to his current state. Then, he looked around, and his gaze quickly landed on the sandstorm not far away. More than 1,000 meters away, yellow tornadoes were constantly entangling, gathering, colliding, and splitting. There were countless of them. At a glance, Zhou seemed to see a doomsday world formed by a tornado and sandstorm. The wind howled endlessly. The ear-piercing and sharp sound of the wind even made Zhou's eardrums ache. Even though this was only the eardrums of the bloodbat avatar, it made Zhou realize that the sandstorm forbidden land was not ordinary. As expected of a natural disaster forbidden area, Zhou thought to himself, "How do we get in?" The bloodbat looked at Zheng Fugue. "My lord, please follow us. Also, before entering, I need to disguise the two of you." Zheng Fugue's voice was low, like a god speaking in the starry sky. He was no longer as honest and kind as before. Bloodbat and Gubo looked at each other and nodded. Zheng Fugue stretched out his right hand, that was formed by the starry sky, and waved it gently at the two of them. Seeing this, then he saw a caravan uniform identical to the one on the mysterious caravan gradually appeared on the bodies of the bloodbats and Gubo. It was just that the size was different. "You can enter this way, and you don't have to worry about the king of undead wondering about the true identities of the lord and Gubo." Zheng Fugue chuckled. Zhou acknowledged. Then, Zheng Fugue led everyone and the carriage towards the sandstorm forbidden land without hesitation. When they got closer, everyone suddenly seemed to have passed through a water wall and walked straight into the sandstorm forbidden land. Below the sandstorm forbidden land, in a dilapidated ancient ruin, there were many collapsed buildings, the corpses of life forms, and various products that had long become rotten. Among these were some damaged old murals carved on a yellow wall, which was especially eye-catching. At this moment in the air, Zheng Fugue, Zhou, and the others walked out of the ripple one after another as a ripple spread out. It feels a little similar to spatial teleportation, but it's also a little different. Zhou thought. "My lord, we used our mysterious caravan's unlimited right of passage to enter this place directly. Next, we just have to pass through that spatial teleportation array and teleport underground. Then we can see the undead couple." Zheng Fugue said directly to a spatial teleportation array not far away that emitted a faint silver light. Zhou looked at the spatial teleportation array and nodded. He was about to bring people to the spatial teleportation array. At this moment, he suddenly saw Gubo lying on the wall, looking at the mural in front of him in surprise. "Did Elder Gu find anything?" Zhou temporarily dispelled the idea of setting off immediately and came to his side to ask politely. "It's not a big discovery, but I roughly know their origins if there's really an undead kingdom below," Gubo said. "Pray tell." Zhou was interested. In any case, he was not in a hurry, so there was no harm in listening. As the saying goes, if you know both your enemies and yourself well, you will not be defeated in 100 battles. Then Gubo began to tell Zhou. Chapter 245 Kingdom of Eternal Silence. The Secret Hero Inheritance Manual that can be dropped. "My lord, you should still remember what I told you last time about the 5 generations of kingdoms ruling under our feet, right?" Gubo asked. "I remember. Ever since the rise and destruction of the Sand Empire, more than 8,000 years ago, this land under our feet has experienced another 4 generations of kingdoms. The latest kingdom is the Aurora Kingdom, which borders our territory," Bloodbat said. Its voice was a little sharp. Gubo nodded and pointed at the murals. "This mural describes the history of 2 ancient kingdoms that have ceased to exist. One of them is called the Violent Storm Kingdom, and the other is called the Ancient Gold Kingdom. If the 4 kingdom eras after the Emperor of Sand are called the 4 kingdom eras, Then the era they belong to is the second generation of kingdoms after the Sand Empire. They were about 3,000 to about 4 years ago. It doesn't say much else. The content on this mural roughly describes that these two kingdoms were mortal enemies in that era. The content on this mural roughly describes that these two kingdoms were mortal enemies in that era. The prince of the Violent Storm Kingdom and the princess of the Ancient Gold Kingdom developed feelings for each other because they fought many times on the battlefield. The two of them were already tired of war, so they wanted to use a union between them to resolve the hatred between the two countries. But the enmity between the two countries is already deep. How can a man and woman in love resolve it? That's not all. The union of the two was also strongly opposed by the higher-ups of both countries. Eventually, this pair of prince and princess stabbed each other to death with their swords and died for love together. But to the two countries' surprise, after they died, their souls became powerful vengeful spirits. This pair of vengeful spirits destroyed the Violent Storm Kingdom and the Ancient Gold Kingdom and turned the dead citizens of the two countries into their undead citizens. After that, the vengeful spirit couple who destroyed two kingdoms woke up to their senses. After they saw this scene, they finally decided to seal themselves and all the undead citizens deep in the ground and use storm magic to transform the area where the sealed place was into a natural disaster forbidden area, in order to save themselves and not let these undead hurt others. This is the origin of this sandstorm forbidden land. As for the vengeful spirit couple, they are the king of eternal silence and the queen of eternal silence. Jojo and the surrounding people fell silent. The bloodbat sighed softly. Jojo did not expect this. These undead creatures actually had such a sad story. According to the ancient books, after the Violent Storm Kingdom and the Ancient Gold Kingdom were destroyed by two nameless powerful vengeful spirits, they disappeared without a trace. Even their corpses disappeared. This has even become an unsolved historical mystery. I didn't expect the real reason to be like this. Gubo also sighed. As soon as he finished speaking, an energy fluctuation appeared in his body before disappearing. The bloodbat was stunned. Then, he opened his personal information and realized that the other party's archaeologist level had increased from the previous white-silver tier elementary grade to white-silver tier advanced grade. He was a little tongue-tied, and there was nothing much to say. This was what life professions were like. It was different from combat professions that needed to accumulate promotion energy bit by bit. Once a life profession made a breakthrough in innovation, it was very likely to increase by more than one grade. It was normal to increase by a few grades. As an archaeologist, Jojo even felt that it was too little for Elder Gu to crack an unsolved historical mystery and raise it by 2 grades. That was indeed the case. After a moment of silence, Gubo smiled at the bloodbat. If I publish the historical answer here, I'm afraid I'll directly be promoted to a yellow gold tier, or even white platinum tier archaeologist. Are you going to publish it? Bloodbat asked. I'm not going to publish it. If the truth is really as the murals say, I'm afraid this place will be in chaos if I announce the truth about this place. Gubo shook his head. The bloodbat nodded. There were not only the undeads of the 2 kingdoms here. It also had all the wealth accumulated by the 2 kingdoms. Just as old Gu had said, if the others knew the truth of this place would indeed be in chaos. Even his territory might suffer. Moreover, he wished that these 2 kingdoms would never come out. Otherwise, he would be the first to suffer if they had any bad intentions after coming out, since his territory was connected to this place. He was a small faction that was not even a kingdom. He could probably not resist in front of these 2 big shots, who could even destroy 2 kingdoms. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks then, he did not say anything about keeping it a secret. Elder Zheng, don't sell the matter here as information. The bloodbat flew to Zheng Fugui's shoulder and smiled. Yes, my lord. Zheng Fugui said respectfully. Bloodbat nodded. Then he suddenly remembered something. By the way, how did you get in if this place was sealed? Is it also because of the unlimited rite of passage? Bloodbat asked. Yes, my lord. As long as it's a secret faction that our mysterious caravan knows about, and its faction level is below the kingdom level. No matter how secretive it is, we have the right to enter and conduct business. But it's only limited to doing business. It can't do anything else. Zheng Fugui said. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue. Even though there were some restrictions, this unlimited right of passage still felt ridiculously strong. My lord Mr. Gu, we can talk about these things outside the seal. But if you enter the spatial teleportation array, it's equivalent to entering the sealed kingdom of eternal silence. We have to be careful when the time comes. Otherwise, the identity of the Lord and Mr. Gu might be seen through. Even though they might not do anything because of our status, there might be accidents. Zheng Fugui said seriously. The Bloodbat and Gubo nodded. The two of them, especially Zhou Zhou, could naturally feel Zheng Fugui's sincere concern and care. After that, everyone did not say anything else, and walked into the spatial teleportation array. Eternal Silence Kingdom. After Zhou Zhou saw his surroundings again, he realized that he had arrived at a dead city. In this city, tailor shop, blacksmith shop, carpenter shop, grocery store, jewelry shop. There were all kinds of buildings. Moreover, they were all functional blueprint buildings, not self-built buildings. However, even though the buildings were complete, there was no one alive here. And the aura of the undead was extremely strong. The dim green light illuminated the city, and coupled with the dead atmosphere, it made this place look a little eerie and terrifying. Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. His sixth sense was astonishing. He could sense that a large number of undead creatures were sleeping in these buildings. Tap tap tap. A pair of undead knights wrapped in black undead aura galloped over on undead warhorses. After coming close, leading undead knight jumped down from his horse and walked in front of Zheng Fugui. Welcome to the Eternal Silence Kingdom. His Majesty and the Queen have been waiting in the palace for a long time. Please follow me. His voice was hoarse. Zheng Fugui nodded slightly and did not speak, looking unfathomable. However, the other party liked this very much. He looked at Zheng Fugui and the mysterious caravan members behind him in awe. Then he led Zheng Fugui and the others towards the palace. Zhou Zhou originally wanted to investigate the other party's attribute information, but he thought of what Luobu had said to him before and held back. My lord, if you want to understand his information, you can check it directly. The mysterious caravan uniforms on you and Mr. Gubo are not just ordinary clothes. Even the vengeful spirit couple won't be able to discover that. Zheng Fugui seemed to have sensed what Zhou Zhou wanted to do, and sent a mental message. Zhou Zhou was a little surprised when he heard this. Then he immediately looked at the undead knight. Monster name, faceplate, hero unit, regional Scarlet Lord. Hero title, 100 Death Cavalry General, position, extraordinary tier heroes fate level, territory, Kingdom of Eternal Silence, strength level, epic tier elementary grade. Monster description, the former second general of the Violent Storm Kingdom, one of the 4 heroes under the command of the King of Eternal Silence. He is powerful and has outstanding battle records. He is deeply trusted by the King of Eternal Silence. Loots, 20 epic tier miscores drop rate, 100%. 1 epic tier elementary grade hero skill, undead body of 100 deaths, 300 origin crystals drop rate, 100%. 1 epic tier elementary grade skill book, summoning undead knights drop rate, 3%. 1 epic tier elementary grade treasure, death fog, 1 epic tier elementary grade army formation, summoning storm spirit king, 1 extraordinary grade hero inheritance secret manual, drop rate, 0.001%. 8 black iron tier lord talent crystal, fragments drop rate, 0%. Zhou Zhou could not help but be shocked after reading it. On the one hand, he was shocked that the other party was actually an extraordinary tier hero. On the other hand, he was shocked that the secret hero inheritance manual could actually be dropped by killing heroes. Chapter 246 The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence. Shocked Zhou Zhou had always thought that this could only be dropped through a special dungeon, like the Time Ruins. He did not expect it to be dropped in reality. It was just that the probability was infinitely equal to 0. But was this a problem for him? No matter what the probability was, he could make it drop 100%. Which means, a hero that others can't get. As long as I can find other heroes and kill them, I can obtain their hero inheritance and add another hero to my faction? Zhou could not help but be overjoyed when he thought of this. How many heroes were there? It could be said to be one of the important indicators to measure the strength of a lord. Since he could increase the number of heroes on his side by hunting heroes, then he could completely max out in this aspect. Other kingdoms such as the Aurora Kingdom might only have 3 or 4 heroes. With his King of Loot's Lord talent, the number of heroes in his kingdom might have reached 10, or even more after his territory was upgraded to a kingdom. The significance of using this to increase the strength of the territory was naturally self-evident. He suppressed his excitement and followed the other party to the entrance of the palace. However, it was only an ancient ruin of the palace. It was just cleaned up very nicely. Even though he could still see its former glory, it was no longer the same as before after thousands of years. After everyone entered the palace, they quickly arrived at a hall called the Eternal Silence Hall. A vengeful spirit couple in black royal robes was sitting high in the hall. Zhou looked over. Monster name: Zhuodan Hero Unit, Kingdom Level Crimson Kingdom. Hero title: King of Eternal Silence. Position: High God Tier Heroes. Fate level: Territory: Kingdom of Eternal Silence. Strength level: Legendary Tier Advanced Grade. Monster description: The original prince of the Violent Storm Kingdom committed suicide because he was in love with the princess of an enemy country. Later, both of them turned into vengeful spirits and destroyed their kingdom. He became the King of Eternal Silence over thousands of years. Loots: 100 Legendary Tier Mist Cores. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Hero Skill. Eternal Loneliness Kingdom. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Hero Skill. Violent Storm Territory. 1000 Origin Crystals. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Equipment. Eternal Silence Scepter. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Equipment. Eternal Silence King Armor. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Skill Book. Summon Sandstorm Tornado. 1 High God Tier Advanced Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Drop rate: 0.00001%. 1 Epic Tier Lord Talent Sphere. Drop rate: 0%. 6 Legendary Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Drop rate: 0%. Monster name: Zhuodan Hero Unit, Kingdom Level Crimson Kingdom. Hero title: Queen of Eternal Silence. Position: High God Tier Heroes. Fate level: Territory: Kingdom of Eternal Silence. Strength level: Legendary Tier Advanced Grade. Monster description: The original princess of the ancient Gold Kingdom committed suicide because she was in love with the prince of an enemy country. Later, both of them turned into vengeful spirits and destroyed their kingdom. For thousands of years, she became the Queen of Eternal Silence who accompanied the King of Eternal Silence. Loots: 100 Legendary Tier Mist Cores. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Hero Skill. Eternal Kingdom. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Hero Skill. Ancient Gold Soldier Armor. 1000 Origin Crystals. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Equipment. Eternal Silence Heart. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Skill Book. Golden Dawn Fall. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Legendary Tier Advanced Grade Skill Book. Meteor Destruction. 1 High God Tier Advanced Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Drop rate: 0.00001%. 1 Diamond Tier Lord Talent Sphere. Drop rate: 0%. 3 Diamond Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Drop rate: 0%. Zhou clicked his tongue. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence were actually 2 High God Tier heroes with the Legendary Tier Advanced Grade destiny. If not for the fact that they lived underground, they would probably be able to be promoted to being lords of an empire if they developed some more. Everyone, please take a seat, the King of Eternal Silence said. His voice was unexpectedly gentle. He quickly discovered that there were 2 more existences in the mysterious caravan this time. Moreover, one of them actually had a different physique from other mysterious merchants. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. He was puzzled, but he did not pay much attention to it. The name of the mysterious caravan resounded throughout the entire high continent, and even the endless heavens. The common agreement that all living beings acknowledged about them was, the mysterious caravan only engaged in trading. They would never hurt the person they were dealing with, unless they took the initiative to provoke them. Therefore, he was very at ease with Sheng Fuguei and the others. Last time, we couldn't reach a deal because we weren't ready. We have to trade our worth this time. I wonder what goods you brought here for us to trade this time. The Eternal Silence Queen said. Other than gentleness, her tone was also filled with curiosity. This was their first time trading with the legendary mysterious caravan. They also wanted to see what kind of goods the mysterious caravan would sell them. Zheng Fuguei did not say anything and looked at the bloodbat. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence were also slightly shocked and surprised when they saw this scene. No wonder there were 2 more people this time. So the owner of the transaction had come personally. I heard that your country has a temple dedicated to Thanatos, the god of death. Bloodbat's voice was sharp. Of course. Any undead faction will worship Thanatos, the god of death. Let alone a kingdom of the undead like ours. The King of Eternal Silence said matter-of-factly. He felt a little strange. He did not know why the other party suddenly asked about matters of such common sense. Caw-caw. Then you should be interested in the things I brought with me. The bloodbat's figure was enveloped in the starry sky robe, and he could not see what was inside. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence looked at him curiously. Then the other party spat out a spatial ring. Immediately after, the spatial ring flashed with light. The next second, a total of 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals flew out and floated quietly in the air. This was a white silver tier intermediate grade skill called Object Control. It was obtained from the loot of an elemental monster called the Hanging Stone Spirit when Zhou conquered the territory. Even though it did not have many offensive abilities, it was very practical in life. That was what he was using now. When the King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence saw the 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals, they immediately stood up uncontrollably. They were dumbfounded and only had one thought in their minds. Which ambitious guy slaughtered so many fanatic believers under the gods to obtain so many fanatic believer faith divine crystals? What is happening outside? Could it be that there is a huge battle between the gods? Hundreds of thousands of believers would have to die to obtain so many fanatic believer faith divine crystals, right? The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence thought of the meaning behind these things. They were immediately shocked. Only the sharp voice of the bloodbat could be heard. I wonder what you can offer to trade with me for these 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals. Chapter 247 5 Treasures 1. The King of Eternal Silence exchanged glances with the Queen of Eternal Silence. Then he sat down and shook his head with a bitter smile. Honorable guest, you really think highly of me. How can we have any treasures to trade for fanatic believer faith divine crystals, let alone 1,000 of them? The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence looked at the 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals with desire in their eyes. Just as Zhou had said, they naturally wanted these 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals. One had to know that even God spirits cherished their Holy Spirit tier believers. So much so that they were willing to fight other gods there his Holy Spirit tier believers were injured. Why? Because believers were the most important source of power of faith for the God spirits. The power of faith that every Holy Spirit tier believer could provide to the gods was extremely huge. The power of faith created every day by a Holy Spirit tier believer was even comparable to the total power of faith provided by tens of millions of shallow believers every day. Not only that, Holy Spirit tier believers were the purest existence of faith. Not only could they cast the strongest divine arts given by the God Spirit, they could even be used as a medium for gods to walk the mortal world when necessary. Through this method, they created miracles and spread the grace of God to complete their goal of spreading their faith. From there, they could make their deity position more stable and even obtain the possibility of advancement. It could be said that the Holy Spirit was one of the most important ways for God spirits to become stronger by collecting the power of faith. Fanatic believers were second only to the Holy Spirit tier, and they had the possibility of advancing to the Holy Spirit level at any time. It could be said that every fanatic believer was a seed of the Holy Spirit. Such pure faith also meant that their faith divine crystals could provide an extremely huge and pure power of faith. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence had served Thanatos for many years. As legendary tier powerhouses, they naturally knew that their god yearned for this pure power of faith the most. They would definitely obtain the favor of their god if they could give these 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals to their god spirit. They might even be bestowed with a divine artifact. These two legendary tier powerhouses had been silent for thousands of years, but even so, their hearts could not help but become restless facing this divine grace. However, they had their own difficulties. The first was that they could not afford it. That's right, they really could not afford it. Even though they were an existence that was on the verge of becoming an empire, however, they had never gone out to fight after all. As a result, they had never obtained a mythical tier treasure. In their hearts, only mythical tier treasures could buy these 1,000 faith divine crystals. The value of these things far exceeded Zhou's imagination. This was a miraculous gain that could only be made by a mythical tier unique Lord talent plus a white platinum tier Lord talent after all. Even the Supreme Will, who created the Lord talent, probably did not expect that such a bug combination could be born from the countless Lord talents he created. There was another reason. That was, they did not dare to buy them. In their eyes, the karma behind 1,000 fanatic believer faith divine crystals was too great. Even though they were hidden very deeply, and almost no one in the high continent knew of their existence, they did not dare to buy these faith divine crystals. Zhou naturally did not know what these two majesties were thinking. He heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the two of them say that. Actually, even though he had obtained many loots, there were not many that were valuable to legendary tier existences. Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals, Death Immunity Scrolls, or Battle Campaign Resurrection tokens were fine. However, Zhou was definitely unwilling to trade them. After thinking about it, he thought of what Zheng Fugui had once told him about the existence of the god of Death's temple in the Kingdom of Eternal Silence. He felt that the faith divine crystal might be used to trade. Therefore, he took it out and tried it. He did not expect it to really work. Moreover, judging from their reactions, this thing seemed to be quite valuable, and did not embarrass the mysterious caravan. Thinking of this, he immediately became confident. Why don't you take out what you can offer to determine the affordability? Even if you can't buy 1,000, you can maybe buy dozens or hundreds of them. Bloodbat's voice was sharp. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence looked at each other when they heard this. Then their eyes became firm. They agreed and got someone to bring the treasures up. Then, Zhou and the others saw 5 beautiful vampires with graceful figures walking up with 5 treasures in their hands. Then they lifted the red cloth on them, revealing the treasures below. These 5 treasures are treasures that our Kingdom of Eternal Silence has preserved for many years. Only these treasures are worthy of buying these precious faith divine crystals. The King of Eternal Silence said sincerely. The corners of Zheng Fugui and the other mysterious merchants' mouths twitched a few times. Even Zhou and Gubo had strange expressions. What kind of business dealing is this? First you praised how precious the other party's goods were. Don't you want to bargain next? Isn't it obvious that he wanted us to rip him off? However, when they thought of the other party's background, they suddenly understood. Well, this pair of prince and princess had been buried underground for thousands of years, and had never come into contact with commoners for transactions. It was understandable that they acted so innocently. Next, let me introduce these 5 treasures. The King of Eternal Silence walked down from the throne and came to the first treasure. It was a 2-meter-tall dark blue egg. This is the dragon egg of a spectral dragon. When we first obtained it, the aura inside was about to disappear. If we hadn't placed it in the deepest underground area of the Kingdom of Eternal Silence, and been nurtured by the rich undead aura here for thousands of years, it might have completely become a dead egg. And now, it has been perfectly nurtured. as long as a soul contract is signed with it. This spectral dragon will be born, and will recognize the person who signed the soul contract as its master. We will gift you a soul contract along with it. The King of Eternal Silence said. Zhou body immediately trembled. A spectral dragon egg? It is not a spectral dragon transformed from a dead dragon. Wouldn't that make this a natural spectral dragon? This would be a pure-blooded dragon comparable to Nazario. Nazario's contribution to his territory went without saying. A pure-blooded dragon was already so strong. What about having two of them? Zhou immediately made up his mind to obtain this spectral dragon egg. Even though he was excited, no one could tell his reaction under the starry sky divine robe. When the King of Eternal Silence saw that Zhou did not react, he coughed awkwardly. These guys don't even fancy a pure-blooded dragon? What? They are the mysterious caravan? Oh right, forget it. The King of Eternal Silence's expression did not change as he came to the second treasure. It was a class change certificate and a recruitment book. Kingdom-level combat profession, Violent Storm Spirit. It's an advanced combat profession, the Storm Mage. This is its recruitment letter and class change certificate. The King of Eternal Silence had a complicated expression. It comes from a monster from the ancient Violent Storm Kingdom. It's a powerful wind element spellcaster profession. It has an extremely destructive casting ability and an elementalization ability that makes it immune to physical attacks. Do you only have this one book? The Bloodbat asked. Of course not. His expression gradually returned to normal as he said seriously. The Violent Storm Spirit is a special profession in our Kingdom of Eternal Silence. Other than the Violent Storm Spirits that were rumored to be in the elemental world, the only other place you can find this class change certificate in the entire High Continent is our Eternal Silence Kingdom. That's why I'm prepared to trade the right to trade for this specialty profession. Chapter 248 5 Treasures. 2. Our mysterious caravan won't stay in one place, nor will we have any fixed trading partners. We're not interested in the trading rights you mentioned. The Bloodbat said. The King of Eternal Silence fell silent. True. He had indeed never heard of a mysterious caravan having a fixed trading partner. Even though his Violent Storm Spirit profession was precious, he seemed to have taken it for granted. He sighed and was about to introduce the next treasure when he heard the Bloodbat speak again. Even though we're not interested in your trading rights. However, I'm a little interested in monsters that can drop the Violent Storm Spirit recruitment book and the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate. I want to buy them. How about that? The Bloodbat said. The King of Eternal Silence was stunned when he heard this. Then, a hint of hesitation flashed in his eyes. He was not stupid. Therefore, he immediately had a guess when he heard this. This mysterious merchant probably had the ability to mass-produce monsters. Which meant, if he really handed that monster to the other party, it was very likely that the kingdom-level combat profession's Violent Storm Spirits would not be his alone. He was silent for a moment, then nodded. Sure. A relieved smile appeared on the King of Eternal Silence's face. Some things could be buried, but some things should continue to be passed down. The Queen of Eternal Silence was stunned when she saw her husband say yes. Then, she seemed to understand something, and a gentle smile appeared on her face. When Zhou heard the King of Eternal Silence's words, he was slightly surprised. However, it was a good thing that they agreed. He didn't think too much about it, and was looking forward to it. He could have a fixed kingdom-level combat profession in his territory. At this moment he suddenly thought of something. He remembered that the Storm Lord of the Sun Extermination Society's profession seemed to be a Storm Mage. Could it be that the Storm Lord's Storm Mage profession came from here? He felt that the possibility was very high. Then he stopped thinking about it. The Storm Lord was already dead. There was nothing he could do about it. At this moment, the King of Eternal Silence came to the third treasure. It was a token that Zhou had just seen. It was an extraordinary tier advanced grade kingdom token. This is a kingdom token. With it, you can establish a kingdom after completing the other two conditions for establishing a kingdom. When the King of Eternal Silence introduced this kingdom token, his expression was more complicated. Even though this kingdom token was the least valuable of the 5 treasures, it was the most meaningful to him. This was the kingdom token of his ancestors, the Violent Storm Kingdom. The bloodbat said nothing. Seeing this, the King of Eternal Silence came to the 4th treasure. It was a fist-sized blood wolf totem. This is an extraordinary tier intermediate grade treasure of the military formation. It's called the Greedy Wolf Totem. It has a military formation called the Greedy Wolf Howling Moon Array engraved inside. The person who masters this array can summon a creature called the Greedy Wolf by gathering the essence, energy, and spirit of the professionals. This Greedy Wolf avatar can directly attack the enemy. It can be said to be peerless on the battlefield. Moreover, the more professionals there are in the military formation, the stronger the Greedy Wolf avatar will be. It can condense an extraordinary tier intermediate grade Greedy Wolf avatar at best. I obtained this treasure from an outer realm life form in the past. I kept it because it has the ability to defeat the strong even if we are weak. The King of Eternal Silence said. Zhou contemplated. The name Greedy Wolf seemed to be used only by the immortal Dao civilization. Could the outer realm life form that he mentioned be life forms from the immortal realm, or from the immortal Dao civilization? At this moment, the King of Eternal Silence also came to the 5th treasure. It was a golden bag. This is a strange treasure. The King of Eternal Silence said. Strange treasure? Zhou's heart stirred. This was the first time he had heard of the concept of a strange treasure. Zhang Fugui seemed to have seen through Zhou's doubts and sent a voice transmission. They don't have a specific grade, and most of them don't increase the user's combat ability, but they have all kinds of strange and unique functions. That's why they're called strange treasures. Zhou came to a realization. At this moment, the King of Eternal Silence also introduced it. This strange treasure is called the Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag. It only has one function. That's converting the mist core. It can transform a low-level mist core into a high-level mist core, or a high-level mist core into a low-level mist core. For example, put 10 black iron tier mist cores in the Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag. With the user's will, it can become a green bronze tier mist cores. If you put in 1 green bronze tier mist core, it can also turn into 10 black iron tier mist core according to the user's wishes. Even though it's not very useful, but it's convenient. Moreover, if the user lacks high-quality mist cores, they can completely convert a large number of low-level mist cores to forcefully create the high-quality mist cores they want. But it has a limit. The Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag can transform legendary tier mist cores at best. It can't be converted beyond the legendary tier. The King of Eternal Silence said. Zhou's eyes lit up. The Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag actually had such a function. He happened to need this ability. He sold a large number of goods through the exchange every day, and often obtained tens of millions of black iron tier mist cores. Even though these black iron tier mist cores were real, it was very inconvenient to trade them. The quantity was too big after all. It would take a long time to calculate the exchange rates. With the Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag, he did not have to worry about such things. This thing was simply a natural money bag. Not to mention that it could also create the ability of higher-level mist cores. In the future, he would not have to worry about being unable to build higher-level buildings because of the lack of higher-level mist cores. In Zhou's heart, this thing was even more valuable than the spectral dragon egg. I want all 5 of them. The bloodbat calmed down and said calmly. The King of Eternal Silence was delighted. How about the 800 fanatic believer faith divine crystals? He probed. The bloodbat looked at Zhang Fugui. Zhang Fugui immediately understood. 800 is too much. More like 20. As soon as these words were spoken, not only the King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence looked over. Even bloodbat almost couldn't help but look at him. How ruthless. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence looked at each other and began to bargain. A moment later. 50. What about only 50 of them? The King of Eternal Silence gritted his teeth. Zhang Fugui nodded reluctantly. You're lucky, he said. A forced smile appeared on the faces of the King and Queen of Eternal Silence. Then, the King of Eternal Silence asked the 5 vampires to send all 5 treasures to the bloodbats. I'll give this violent storm spirit recruitment letter and clash change certificate to this lord. As for the violent storm demon spirit monster, I'll get my subordinate to bring it over later. The king of eternal silence said. The bloodbat nodded. Then, he put away the remaining 950 fanatic believer faith divine crystals and the 5 treasures. Chapter 249. The third fragment. The bloodbat did not show anything on the surface. However, he was already extremely happy. A mere 50 fanatic believer faith divine crystals could actually exchange for these 5 priceless treasures. Every treasure was a treasure that could make kingdom-level forces go crazy and empire-level forces tempted in the outside world. He actually bought them so easily. He could not help but glance at Zheng Fuguei. As expected of the boss of the mysterious merchant, this bargaining ability was indeed ridiculous. In any case, he did not dare to slash like this. Still, the transaction was not over yet. King of Eternal Silence. I have 2 small deals I want to make. The bloodbat suddenly said. The king and queen of Eternal Silence were stunned. They thought the deal was over. What deal? The king of Eternal Silence said seriously. To the north of the sandstorm forbidden zone above you. It borders the territory of a lord of all races called Blazing Sun City. Our mysterious caravan once made a deal with him and agreed to help him obtain safe passage in the sandstorm forbidden land, so that he and his lord forces can safely pass through the sandstorm forbidden land you set up. Can you accept this deal? The bloodbat said. That's simple. After saying that, the king of Eternal Silence flipped his right hand and took out a blue seal. Then he handed it to the bloodbat. This is a violent storm seal. Use it to stamp anything and come to our storm forbidden land with that item. We will naturally let the people from their lord's faction pass safely. Just give me the amount of faith divine crystals you think it's worth, he said. This matter was nothing to him. The king of Eternal Silence did not want to appear too greedy in front of these mysterious merchants, lest he attract trouble. Then he'll have to trouble you to take care of them. This is also one of the contents of our deal with the forces of Blazing Sun City. The bloodbat said. With that, he controlled 10 fanatic believer faith divine crystals and sent them to the king of Eternal Silence. The king of Eternal Silence's eyes flashed. Such a simple transaction actually traded for 10 fanatic believer faith divine crystals? It seemed that this mysterious caravan cared a lot about the deal with the forces of Blazing Sun City. Could it be that the Lord of all races had given up treasures that were comparable to or even more than 10 fanatic believer faith divine crystals? Was that why these mysterious merchants were so concerned? At this moment, the king of Eternal Silence thought about many things. On the surface, he put away the 10 fanatic believer faith divine crystals and nodded seriously. Okay. As long as the forces of Blazing Sun City pass through the sandstorm forbidden area I set up, no matter what kind of enemy they encounter, our Eternal Silence Kingdom can guarantee the safety of the people from Blazing Sun City, as long as it's below the divine level. Sure, the bloodbat said. Zhou was delighted. With the protection of such a legendary tier advanced grade king and kingdom level faction, even if it was only limited to the interior of the sandstorm forbidden zone, he still had a lot of room to operate and could do some things. For example, he could try attacking the Dark Knight town, the yellow gold tier Scarlet Lord area south of the sandstorm forbidden zone. In other words, it was the territory of the Crimson Kingdom, the Taiyan Kingdom. The Taiyan Kingdom, a Crimson Kingdom, was near his territory. The war between the two was only a matter of time. Since that was the case, he could completely cause trouble for it during the war between the Taiyan Kingdom and the Aurora Kingdom. Zhou had just had this thought. He was not in a hurry to do it for the time being. It would not be too late to attack Dark Knight Town after he had made a thorough plan. I wonder what the other deal is. The King of Eternal Silence said. The final deal would be related to a piece of equipment. I heard that your country has a fragment of the Emperor of Sand's glory scepter here. Our target is this equipment fragment. The bloodbat said. The King of Eternal Silence and the Queen of Eternal Silence were stunned. Then they frowned and thought about it. Soon, they were shocked and thought of the fragment of the Emperor of Sand's glory scepter. They looked at the bloodbat warily. The fragment of the Emperor of Sand's glory scepter was a collection that had existed since the era of the ancient Gold Kingdom. After more than 3,000 years, they had almost forgotten the existence of this item. He did not expect the other party to actually gather information about this equipment fragment, and even find this place. What terrifying intelligence-gathering ability! Was this the mysterious merchant? He was both surprised and emotional. I didn't expect you to be interested in that equipment fragment. We've kept it for thousands of years, but we haven't found the secret of why the Emperor of Sand is so powerful from that equipment fragment. The King of Eternal Silence smiled and said, "The Emperor of Sand is considered a hero of his generation. The items he left behind are still worth trading." The Bloodbat said, "In other words, what you value is the secret of the Emperor of Sand's strength, while our mysterious merchant only values the value of the items left behind by the Emperor of Sand." The King and the Queen of Eternal Silence were not surprised. The mysterious merchant was indeed like this. They did not care whether the items were powerful or not. They only cared if the goods were worth trading. The King of Eternal Silence did not say anything else. He got someone to bring the equipment fragment over and sent them directly to the Bloodbat. Even though this equipment fragment has an extraordinary origin, it's only a fragment. Just give me what you think is worth. The King of Eternal Silence said. The Bloodbat looked at the fragment in front of him. It was different from the previous fragments of a completed staff. It was a fragment of a golden staff with a water-like blue gem at the end. A text notification appeared. Item name: Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter Fragment. Item level: Special. Item effect: Sealed. You need to gather all the scepter fragments to unseal it. Item description: Legendary tier advanced grade equipment. One of the fragments of the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter. It contains the mighty power that the Emperor of Sand once possessed. It's the third fragment. I wonder how many fragments I need to fuse to form the complete Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter. Zhou thought to himself. Under the current situation, it was not good for him to take out the other two scepter fragments. He could only put away the fragment of the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter first, and send 5 Faith Divine Crystals to the other party. The King and Queen of Eternal Silence were also very satisfied. 2 goods that were not worth anything to them could actually be exchanged for 15 more Faith Divine Crystals. They felt that they had made a killing. The deal is over. We won't stay any longer. Let's meet again if fate allows. The Bloodbat said. With that, all the mysterious merchants stood up. The King and Queen of Eternal Silence watched this scene quietly, feeling a little dazed. May I ask, what's it like outside? Do the life forms of the world still remember the existence of the ancient Gold Kingdom and the violent Storm Kingdom? The Eternal Silence Queen suddenly stood up and could not help but ask. Chapter 250 Emperor of Sand's Glory Staff. The Bloodbat, Zheng Fugui, and the others were stunned. When the King of Eternal Silence saw his wife like this, he pursed his transparent lips. There's been a huge change in the outside world. The Supreme will attracted the lords of all races from the myriad worlds, just to fight for the position of the Supreme Lord. The former Lord of the High Continent is no longer the protagonist of the world. The enemy is still the Crimson Overlord. As for the ancient Gold Kingdom and violent Storm Kingdom, they have become words in the history books. Some life forms will remember when they see it, but many have forgotten. The Bloodbat said. So, the world has actually changed so much after we remained sleeping for more than 3,000 years. The Queen of Eternal Silence muttered. Nothing has changed. The life forms on the High Continent still live in ubiquitous wars. Our Kingdom of Eternal Silence is the true paradise of peace. The King of Eternal Silence snorted. Then he looked at his dazed wife. His cold expression melted, and he regained his gentleness. He reached out and shook the Queen of Eternal Silence's transparent hand. The Queen of Eternal Silence came back to her senses. They looked at each other and smiled. However, there was a hint of loneliness in their eyes. This era did not belong to them. They were already dead in more than one way. After the 2 kings adjusted their emotions, they looked at Zhou and the others again. Since you want to leave, Yan Pan, go to the hunting area and subdue 10 violent storm demon spirits. Hand them to the mysterious merchant." The King of Eternal Silence said, "Yes, Your Majesty." Yen Pan accepted the order respectfully. Then he left. When Zhou and the others saw this, they waited a little longer. Soon, Yen Pan walked over with a gray bag and came in front of the blood bat. "My lord, there are 10 violent storm demon spirits in this monster's pocket. Just what you need," he said respectfully. The blood bat looked over. A text notification appeared. Treasure name: Fog Monster Pocket. Treasure grade: Yellow Gold Tier. Treasure effect: can accommodate 1 Yellow Gold Tier Fog Monster, 10 White Silver Tier Fog Monsters, 100 Green Bronze Tier Fog Monsters, 1000 Black Iron Tier Fog Monsters. Currently imprisoning 10 White Silver Tier Advanced Grade Storm Demon Spirit. Treasure description: a spatial treasure specially used to trap fog monsters. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. This was the first time he had seen a spatial item that could imprison living creatures. They did not stay any longer and left the Kingdom of Eternal Silence with the mysterious caravan and Gubo and returned to the surface. After everyone returned to the ground, they dared to go in the direction of Blazing Sun City. The bloodbat stopped everyone after walking for about 2 to 3 kilometers. After confirming that there were no living beings spying on them, the bloodbat spat out its spatial ring and took out the fragments of the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter, the Sandman Scepter, and the Sand Corpse King's Summoning Scepter. After the 3 items appeared at the same time and were placed together, they quickly shook by themselves. The bloodbat looked at this scene expectantly. The next second, bang, puff, the Sandman Scepter and the Sand Corpse King's Summoning Scepter suddenly shattered into countless fragments. Then, beams of light appeared and finally condensed into 2 fragments of the Sand Emperor's Glory Scepter. These 2 fragments of the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter. One was the top part of the scepter, and the other was the middle part of the scepter. The 3 collided and quickly condensed into a slightly illusory golden scepter. The golden scepter was completely golden, and its surface was covered in tiny bumps that looked like gravel. At the top was a circular item that looked like a slowly spinning sun. Zhou looked at it. A text notification appeared. Equipment name: Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter. Completeness: 67%. Equipment grade: Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Equipment effect 1, Desert Protection. When using sand element related skills and summoning skills, it can reduce a portion of the energy consumption. When using the professional skills of the Desert Summoner, the strength level of the Desert Summoner summoned will increase by 1 level. Note: when using skills below Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade, it can reduce energy consumption by up to 50%. The reduction will decrease as the strength of the skill increases. Equipment effect 2, the world is your desert. The user can transform the terrain where they are into the desert terrain. The range and degree of transformation depends on the energy input. On the desert terrain, the user and his subordinate's skill strength increases by 100% when using sand element skills. Note: this skill does not affect Equipment Effect 1. Equipment Effect 3, Emperor of Sand's Empire will. The user can swap positions with the lives summoned by the Sandman they summon. They can also temporarily replace their own will with the will of any Sandman under their command. Equipment Effect 4, Lost Empire. This equipment can guide the user to find the legacy of the Emperor of Sand. Prompt: because this equipment was found by the Lord of the Blazing Sun and obtained the recognition of the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter, the Lord of the Blazing Sun can ignore the level requirements and directly use this equipment. The bloodbat widened his eyes slightly and was a little excited. He could actually use this Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade equipment in advance. There's actually such a benefit to taking the initiative to find this equipment. The bloodbat muttered to itself excitedly. The effect of this equipment was not bad. Not only did it include all the equipment abilities of the Sandman Scepter and the Sand Corpse King's Summoning Scepter, but some of the equipment abilities had also been greatly enhanced. Moreover, it had an additional, the world is your desert equipment ability. The bloodbat nodded in satisfaction. It was not in vain that he had spent so much effort to collect this Emperor of Sand's glory scepter. At this moment, the Emperor of Sand's glory scepter trembled slightly. Then it floated up, and the tip of the scepter tilted south. Zhou was no stranger to this scene. He had also obtained the same guidance when he obtained the Sand Corpse King's summoning scepter. This should be the lost empire at work. The Emperor of Sand's glory scepter should be telling me that the remaining scepter fragments or other legacies left behind by the Emperor of Sand are in the south. The bloodbat muttered to itself. It looked south. To the south of the sandstorm forbidden land was the green forest, a white silver tier territory. Then, there was another white silver tier territory, and then the yellow gold tier area of the Taiyan Kingdom, Dark Night Town. Fortunately, I obtained the right to pass through the sandstorm forbidden land from the King of Eternal Silence in advance. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to continue obtaining the Emperor of Sand's legacy. Zhou thought to himself. Then, he put away the Emperor of Sand's glory scepter, and looked at Zheng Fuguei and the others. You guys can go back first. I'm going back too. The bloodbat said. Yes, my lord, Zheng Fuguei and the others said respectfully. The bloodbat nodded slightly. Then, the expression in its eyes gradually returned to normal, and it returned to its ordinary bloodbat avatar. When Zheng Fuguei and the others saw this, they did not waste any more time, and rushed towards Blazing Sun City with everyone. White Silver Tier Region Territory. Dust Wasteland. Zhou opened his eyes, and saw a notification appear in front of him. Your pet lava dragon, Nazario, has killed Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Wild Sand King. White Sand Regional Level Scarlet Lord. Promotion Energy plus 8,000. Loots condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your pet Nazario has received an additional 32,000 promotion energy. The territory of the Scarlet Lord has become ownerless. You can plunder or occupy it. The Dust Wasteland has become an ownerless area. You can become the regional lord of this area after you obtain the regional token. That was pretty fast. Zhou was stunned for a moment before smiling. Chapter 251 Mount Contract. Zhou looked at the battlefield in front of him. Nazario, which was more than 50 meters tall, stepped on an elemental creature made of yellow sand. It was the regional lord of the Sand Wasteland. Wild Sand King, White Sand. At this moment, the other party was already motionless. It was obvious that it had died at Nazario's feet. Near it were 50,000 military professionals, who were like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves, quickly wiping out more than 8,000 desert fog demons. In less than a moment, the battlefield returned to calm. All the desert fog demons had already turned into corpses. Only the soldiers cleaning up the battlefield were left. All the loots had been extracted more than an hour later. Bai Yin walked over. My lord, you're back. She immediately said happily when she saw Zhou's clear eyes. Zhou smiled and nodded. Actually, it would not affect his main Bodhi's consciousness if he used a portion of his consciousness to control the bloodbats. It was just that he would be a little distracted. However, Zhou had placed most of his consciousness on the bloodbat in order to avoid any mistakes during the transaction, just now, and asked Bai Yin to protect him, who would be distracted. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. Nothing went wrong. My lord, all the lord-level forces in the Dust Wasteland have been destroyed. This is the list of loots we recorded. Bai Yin handed the list of loot to Zhou. Zhou took it and looked at it. There were a total of 2 white silver tier Scarlet Lord territories, 4 green bronze tier Scarlet Lord territories, 7 black iron tier Scarlet Lord territories, and 3 Lord territories, including the Storm Lord territory. During the process of conquering these territories, the Blazing Sun Army had killed a total of 39,700 fog monsters and foreign race enemies. With the enhancement of the King of Loots and the Strongest Lord, he obtained a total of 142 white platinum tier mist cores, 6,792 yellow gold tier mist cores, 72,870 white silver tier mist cores, and 146,466 green bronze tier mist cores. 64 origin crystals. There were 44,512 various skill books, 78,242 pieces of basic equipment, and more than 6 million units of basic materials, 21,889 true faith tier scarlet crystals, 14,900 pious tier scarlet crystals, and 1,111 true faith tier scarlet crystals, 4 white silver tier advanced grade alchemist recruitment books, 2 white silver tier intermediate grade alchemy technology recruitment books, 1 yellow gold tier advanced grade black flame horse mount contract, 1 golden ring elk mount contract, 96 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments, 2 silver tier territory tokens, 6 green bronze tier territory tokens, and 8 black iron tier territory tokens, 1 white silver tier regional token. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He had just spent 65 fanatic believer faith divine crystals today, yet he obtained more than 1,000 fanatic believer scarlet crystals, conquering a white silver tier regional territory, and would obtain another 1,000 odd fanatic believer faith divine crystals when he returned to the shelter. Perhaps the most valuable currency in my hands is these faith divine crystals. Zhou thought of how much the goddess of life and the death god valued these faith divine crystal. As for the black flame horse mount contract and the golden ringed elk mount contract, they were looted under the influence of the Knights Temple building. Zhou specially took it out and looked at it curiously. Treasure name: Black Flame Horse Mount Contract. Treasure grade: Yellow Gold Tier Advanced grade. Treasure effect: after blood recognition, you can obtain a Black Flame Horse with Yellow Gold Tier Advanced grade bloodline as your mount. Treasure description: a mount type treasure. After using it, you can obtain a Black Flame Horse as your mount companion. Note: non-Knight type professionals can only obtain 3 mounts in their lifetime. Knight type professionals can only obtain 7 mounts in their lifetime. Treasure name: Golden Ring Elk Mount Contract. Treasure grade: Yellow Gold Tier Elementary grade. Treasure effect: after blood recognition, you can obtain a Golden Ring Elk with Yellow Gold Tier Elementary grade bloodline as your mount. Treasure description: a mount type treasure. After using it, you can obtain a Golden Ringed Elk as your mount companion. Black Flame Horse and Golden Ringed Elk? Zhou raised his eyebrows. He originally wanted to drip his blood on it and give it a try, but when he saw the note at the back, he hesitated for a moment and dismissed his thoughts. Since there was a limited number of mounts he could have in his life, a mount with only a Yellow Gold Tier Advanced grade bloodline and a Yellow Gold Tier Elementary grade bloodline was clearly not enough to satisfy his requirements. The mount he wanted had to be at least a bloodline level mount like Nazario. Otherwise, he would not be interested. Zhou thought for a moment and asked Bai Yi to find 2 cavalrymen with outstanding military achievements. Bai Yin received the order and left. Soon, 2 white silver tier advanced grade intermediate grade professions, Win cavalrymen, followed by Yin over. My lord, these are Zhang Yao and Zhou Sun. They're 2 very brave Win cavalrymen. The 2 of them have already accumulated a lot of military merits. They are currently the commander and deputy commander of the cavalry in the Blazing Sun Army. Bai Yin said respectfully. Greetings, my lord. Zhang Yao and Zhou Sun said respectfully and excitedly. Zhou smiled and nodded. Then, he handed the Black Flame Horse mount contract to the 2 of them. These are 2 mount contracts. As long as you drip your blood on it, and they recognize you as its master, you can obtain 2 mounts with Yellow Gold Tier bloodlines. Do you want it? He asked. I want it. Of course I want it. Thank you for the reward, my lord. The 2 of them knelt on one knee excitedly. Their potential was only at the Yellow Gold Tier Advanced grade. If they obtained these 2 mounts, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. You 2 fought well. These are your rewards. Fight well in the future, and there will be better benefits. Zhou nodded slightly when he saw this. Then, he handed the 2 mount contract books to him. Yes, my lord. The 2 of them said excitedly and respectfully. Then they took it with both hands and dripped their blood on it without hesitation. 2 golden lights flickered on the mount contract book. Then, they turned into 2 golden streams of light and flew into the space between their eyebrows. The 2 of them closed their eyes instinctively. Soon they opened their eyes. They looked at each other and could see the excitement in each other's eyes. Summon them and let me take a look. Zhou smiled. He was a little curious. This was also the first time he had come into contact with a mount contract. He also wanted to see the performance of this treasure. Zhang Yao and Zhou Sun nodded. Then they shouted at the same time. Come out, Black Flame Horse. Come out, Golden Ringed Elk. Two spatial teleportation arrays automatically gathered in the air beside them as soon as they finished speaking. Then, a tall horse covered in black flames and an elk covered in golden rings jumped out of the spatial teleportation array and came to their side. After the black flame horse and the golden ringed elk came out, they stuck close to the two of them, looking very intimate. Chapter 252 Greatly Increased Efficiency of Conquest. Special Wildstone King. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder at this scene. Then, he looked at the attributes of the black flame horse and the golden ringed elk. In the end, he realized that these two mounts had their own characteristics. The black flame horse was good at long-distance raids and used a flame called the black flame fire to attack. Even though the golden ringed elk did not have any offensive ability, it had an even more astonishing speed and flying ability than the black flame horse. He looked at their expressions. Zhang Yao and Zhou Sun were clearly quite satisfied with their new mounts. Then, they thanked Zhou and left. Bai Yin looked at Zhou with burning eyes after the two of them left. Zhou touched her nose and smiled. Don't worry, I won't forget you. There's just no suitable mount for you yet. Forget about the black flame horse and the golden ringed elk. A better mount had to be arranged for Bai Yin as his general. Bai Yin blushed. However, she was looking forward to it. Zhou led the Blazing Sun army onto the Black Ghost and flew to the next White Silver Tier regional territory, the Yellow Earth Plains, because the Wild Sand King's loots were on the loot list. In less than a minute, Zhou and the others arrived at the Yellow Earth Plain. Yellow Earth Plain. Zhou and the others looked at the scene in front of them. It's really a yellow plain. Zhou sighed. This Yellow Earth Plain was as its name suggested. They were all huge plains formed by large stretches of yellow earth at a glance. The violent wind swept through the sand, making this land look even more desolate. Zhou took out the regional map of the Yellow Earth Plain drawn by Wu Tuesday. He looked at the map. The Yellow Earth Plain was slightly smaller than the Dust Wasteland. There was only one White Silver Tier Scarlet Lord territory, 3 Green Bronze Tier Scarlet Lord territory, and 5 Black Iron Tier Scarlet Lord territory. The only thing that surprised Zhou was there were actually 5 territories of the lords of all races here. However, it was only an accident. He did not pay much attention to it. Let's attack. Let's strive to take down 3 White Silver Tier regional territories today. Zhou ordered in a low voice. Yes, my lord, Bai Yin and Wu Xian said respectfully. Then, he led the soldiers towards the Green Bronze Tier Scarlet Lord's territory closest to them. 2 hours later, Yellow Earth Plain. In the Lord's residence of the yellow-striped Fog Wolf, Zhou looked at the shattered territory tablet in front of him and took out the territory token and regional token inside. He suddenly felt a little emotional. It was too fast. They had actually conquered a White Silver Tier regional territory in only 2 hours. This was something he did not dare to think about in the past. Now he had actually done it. There were undoubtedly 2 most important factors that could do this. The first was naturally the Black Ghost. Zhou and his Blazing Sun army could save a large amount of traveling time and quickly shuttle through the territories of the various Scarlet Lords, or even different regions to conquer with the Black Ghost. It would probably take them 3 to 4 hours on foot, and probably an entire day, to capture a White Silver Tier regional territory without Black Ghost. Unlike now, they had already captured 2 White Silver Tier territories in an afternoon. Just as he had thought, the appearance of the Black Ghost had indeed greatly increased the efficiency of his conquest. The second important reason was the explosive increase in military strength. Zhou only had more than 30,000 professionals under his command before the Night Lord and the others arrived. Zhou directly recruited a large number of professionals after the Night Lord and the others arrived. His military strength jumped from more than 30,000 to more than 50,000. He could use his overwhelming military advantage to quickly destroy their monster subjects and capture their territories, with nearly twice the military strength. Each battle involved 50,000 professionals fighting hundreds or thousands of fog monsters. In addition, their individual combat strength was not weak. How could they lose? This was also the reason why they could capture a white-silver tier regional territory in just over 2 hours. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, let's go. To the gravel wilderness. Well, go home after occupying this white-silver tier regional territory. Zhou Zhou looked at Bai Yin and said, "Yes." Bai Yin said respectfully and went to pass on the order. Soon, the soldiers rushed in the direction of the gravel wilderness. 2 minutes later, white-silver tier region territory, gravel wilderness. Zhou Zhou looked at his surroundings. This was a place filled with yellowish-black gravel. Even though it was still a little desolate, Zhou Zhou could already see some green plants hidden in the gravel. I can already see green plants. There should be fewer and fewer regional territories in desert-related environments further east. Zhou Zhou thought. He was looking forward to it. His territory was still too barren because of the environment. Report. At this moment, a scout quickly came to his side and said respectfully, "I've something to report, my lord. We've found the location of the Wild Stone King's territory." "Lead the way," Zhou Zhou said. "Yes, my lord," the scout said respectfully. Then, he ran to the front of the Blazing Sun army and led the way. At the same time, Wuxia ordered the entire army to prepare for battle. Zhou Zhou thought of the Wild Stone King's background as he sat on the back of the Mechanostrider. This Wild Stone King was the regional Scarlet Lord of this gravel wilderness. Of course, it was no different from other regional Scarlet Lords if that was the case. Zhou Zhou naturally did not care about it. This Wild Stone King was special. Not only was it a regional Scarlet Lord in the gravel wilderness, but it had also captured the territories of the other Scarlet Lords and the lords of all races in the area, unifying the entire gravel wilderness and becoming the only lord faction in the gravel wilderness. Zhou Zhou was naturally very curious about this. This was the first time he had seen a Scarlet Lord take the initiative to conquer the territory of another Scarlet Lord. He did not know why the other party made such an abnormal move. A moment later, the scout brought Zhou Zhou and the Blazing Sun army to an empty gravel field. At this point the scout stopped with a look of fear. He came in front of Zhou Zhou and said respectfully, "My lord, the Wild Stone King's territory is ahead. Under that vast land are its stone monster subjects." Zhou Zhou acknowledged. He looked at the gravel land and was a little surprised. If not for his powerful sixth senses from the chaos human race, and sensing the dense hostility hidden under the ground, it was really difficult for him to tell that this seemingly calm gravel land in front of him was actually the hideout of a monster based on the scout's one-sided statement. "Elder Wu, get the soldiers ready for battle. At the same time, order all long-range soldiers. Launch a long-range attack on this gravel land." Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and ordered. Yes. Wuxia accepted the order and used the desired military morale to attack with his 50,000 soldiers. He gave the order. Soon, tens of thousands of long-range attacks formed a net of fire in the sky, covering the gravel ground in front of him. Rumble. Countless explosions sounded. Right on the heels of that. Roar. Bang bang. Rumble. The ground trembled slightly. More than 50,000 stone monsters stood up from the ground and roared at the sky. Chapter 253 The Power of White Silver Tier Insight Defection. Wild Stone King's Loots. These stone monsters were made of all kinds of gravel. The shortest was 4 to 5 meters tall, and the tallest was more than 30 meters tall. Among them, black iron tier rock monsters were called wild rock monsters. Green bronze tier rock monsters were called wild rock monsters, Decurion, and white silver tier rock monsters were called wild rock monsters, Centurion. In addition, there were more than 20 yellow gold tier wild rock monsters, Millennium. As for the strongest, it was naturally the region-level Scarlet Lord, Wild Stone King. Zhou Zhou looked at the more than 50,000 heads, and his eyebrows twitched slightly. This number. Something was wrong. There were too many of them. The most number of monster subjects he had encountered was the withered demon tree he had encountered previously. However, it only had 10,000 withered tree monster subjects under its command. And this Wild Stone King actually had more than 50,000 monster subjects under his command. Even if there was a difference between the strongest Scarlet Lords in the White Silver Tier region, there shouldn't be such a huge difference. Could this be the reason why it took the initiative to conquer all the lords in the entire region? Zhou suddenly had an idea. He looked at the largest wild stone monster among the 50,000-odd wild stone monsters. It was the only wild stone monster that was more than 30 meters tall. Monster name: Wild Stone King, Stone Hall, Regional Scarlet Lord. Strength level: White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Monster description: the strongest Scarlet Lord in the Gravel Wilderness and the only remaining Scarlet Lord. It controls the entire Gravel Wilderness and has many wild stone soldiers under its command. It has the ambition to become a kingdom-level Scarlet Lord. Loots: 10 White Platinum Tier Mist Cores drop rate, 100%. 20 Origin Crystals drop rate, 100%. 1 White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Equipment, Wild Stone King Armor, drop rate, 10%. 1 White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Skill Book, Summoning Wild Stone King, drop rate, 5%. 1 Gradeless Skill Book, Mental Communication drop rate, 5%. 1 Pious Tier Scarlet Crystal drop rate, 3%. 1 Green Bronze Tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere, drop rate, 0%. 6 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments drop rate, 0%. He really has a Scarlet Lord talent. Then its actions might be related to its Scarlet Lord talent. Zhou thought. He was a little surprised. He had also encountered many Scarlet Lords with Scarlet Lord talents, but there was only one which was so obvious. As for its White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Strength, Zhou was also very surprised. It seemed that conquering an entire White Silver Tier regional territory had given it many benefits. At this moment, the Wild Stone King had already rushed over with more than 50,000 wild stone monsters. Seeing this, Zhou stretched out his right hand without hesitation and aimed his palm at them. White Silver Tier Lord Talent, Insight Defection activate. Boom! An invisible fluctuation instantly covered the 50,000 wild stone monsters. The next second, more than 4,000 wild stone monsters froze. Then, the expression in their eyes changed. They turned around and attacked their companions beside them without hesitation. The wild stone monsters that were originally attacking together immediately became chaotic. Bai Yun and Wuxia naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. They immediately led 50,000 soldiers to attack these wild stone monsters. Kill them. Destroy these monsters. For the Lord. The two sides began to fight amidst countless furious roars. The sound of weapons colliding, bones breaking, rocks colliding, life forms roaring, guns firing. All kinds of sounds filled the battlefield. Nazario also spread his dragon wings and flew towards the Wild Stone King, quickly fighting it. On the other side, after Zhou activated Insight Defection, he looked at the Lord Talent hint. Prompt: you have activated your Lord's exclusive talent, Insight Defection. Insight Defection has taken effect. Lord Talent hint: a total of 2,142 Black Iron Tier Wild Stone Monsters. 1,575 Green Bronze Tier Wild Stone Monsters. Decurion, 377 White Silver Tier Wild Stone Monsters. Centurion, 6 Yellow Gold Tier Wild Stone Monsters. Millennium has betrayed their Lord faction and become your loyal subordinate. Zhou's eyes lit up. This time, there were actually 4,100 Wild Stone Monsters that had been directly subdued by his Insight Defection. This 8% surrender rate is too strong. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks with this Lord Talent, I can rely on Insight Defection to incite a large number of new troops every day. Looks like we can't delay establishing the monster army, he thought. Zhou had the idea of building a monster army a long time ago. However, at that time, the level of the Insight Defection was not high, and there were not many enemies who could turn it around. In addition, Zhou was relatively busy himself, so he gradually forgot about this matter. However, now that it had been upgraded to White Silver Tier Insight Defection, its true power was already showing. he could start forming a monster army. A moment later, with Nazario's blazing explosion, the Wild Stone King, whose head was directly decapitated, fell to the ground with a bang. A kill notification appeared. Your pet lava dragon, Nazario, has killed the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Wild Sand King. White Sand, Regional Scarlet Lord. Promotion energy plus 20,000. Loots condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your pet Nazario has received an additional 80,000 promotion energy points. The territory of the Scarlet Lord has become ownerless. You can plunder or occupy it. The Dust Wasteland has become an ownerless area. You can become the regional lord of this area after you obtain the regional token. Zhou felt a gentle energy surge in his heart. Then this energy surged into his limbs, bones, and glabella, completely strengthening his body and soul. I've advanced. Zhou raised his eyebrows. He opened his personal stats. That was indeed the case. He was already at the White Silver Tier Advanced grade. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Then, he looked at the Wild Stone King's corpse, and could not help but click his tongue. A White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Regional Scarlet Lord actually provided a total of 20,000 promotion energy. Coupled with the White Silver Tier Blessing of the War God, a White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Regional Scarlet Lord directly provided Nazario with 100,000 promotion energy. One word: ridiculous. In addition, Zhou was very satisfied with Nazario's performance. It was only at the Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade now. It could crush, or even kill a White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Regional Scarlet Lord. As expected of a dragon. Thinking of this, Zhou could not help but think of the spectral dragon egg that his Bloodbat avatar had brought back. Because he was worried that something would happen on the way, he got the Bloodbat avatar to follow the mysterious caravan to bring the spectral dragon egg back to Blazing Sun City. When he returned and acknowledged his soul as its master, he would be able to obtain a second dragon under his command. When the time comes, as long as the spectral dragon increased its strength, his development speed would definitely increase greatly with 2 dragons around. Zhou thought to himself. More than an hour later, all the wild stone monsters were eliminated by the Blazing Sun Army soldiers. Zhou looked at the time. There were still more than 3 hours before dark. He was a little tongue-tied, and there was nothing much to say. Today, he had led the army to capture 3 White Silver Tier regional territories in just over 5 hours. This actually included the time taken to retrieve the loots. Otherwise, he estimated that he would only need more than 2 hours to conquer these 3 White Silver Tier regional territories. It takes at least 30 regional territories to build a kingdom. It used to feel so far away. It doesn't seem so hard now. I'm getting closer to this goal. Zhou thought to himself. At this moment, Nazario flew over with the Wild Stone King's corpse and placed it in front of Zhou. Seeing this, Zhou placed his hand on its corpse. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, Perfect Loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of Strongest Lord. The number of loots has increased by 20%. Lord Talent hint. You have obtained Perfect Loots, 12 Mist Cores Diamond Tier, 24 Origin Crystals, 1 Wild Stone Emperor Armor, Diamond Tier Elementary Grade, 1 Wild Stone Emperor Summoning Skill Book, Diamond Tier Elementary Grade, 1 Mental Communication Skill Book Gradeless, 1 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals Drop Rate, 1%, 1 Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere, White Silver Tier, 7 Lord Talent Crystal Fragments White Silver Tier. Chapter 254 Harvest. Upgrade Territory. Zhou began to check these loot. He ignored the usual Mist Core, Origin Crystals, Scarlet Crystals, Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere, and Lord Talent Crystal Fragment, and looked directly at the Wild Stone Emperor Armor and the Summoning Wild Stone Emperor Skill Book. They were Diamond Tier Elementary Grade items. Zhou was not too interested after taking a look. Their grades were too high after all. Neither he nor the people in his territory could learn them. Zhou looked at the only gradeless skill book. Skill name, Mental Communication, Skill Quality, Gradeless, Skill Description. After learning it, you can master the ability to communicate with intelligent life forms mentally. Note: the number and distance of communication depends on the strength of the user's soul. Zhou was excited. He had wanted this skill for a long time. Previously, he was very envious when he saw that the intelligent Wuxia had mental communication. He finally had one now. To him, if this skill was used well, it might have an effect similar to Elder Wu's hero skill, desired military morale. He immediately learned it. Then he stood up and looked at the more than 2,000 surviving wild stone monsters on the battlefield. These more than 2,000 living wild rock monsters were the ones that he had successfully incited. Come here, Zhou said telepathically. His target was 6 yellow gold tier wild stone monsters Millennium. They were all alive now, because they were the strongest. The next second, he saw the 6 yellow gold tier wild stone monsters. The Millennium soldiers paused. Then they subconsciously turned to look at Zhou. They quickly came back to their senses and bowed respectfully from afar. Then, they immediately brought more than 2,000 wild stone monsters to Zhou. Greetings, my lord. The 6 wild stone monsters spoke in the common language of the high continent. They had naturally mastered this language after being instigated by insight defection to become subjects of Blazing Sun City. In a while, follow our army and return to my territory. Then you just wait for the new arrangements. When you don't have anything to do, follow my army to fight. Zhou said. Yes, we will obey your orders, my lord. X6 The 6 wild stone monsters Millennium said respectfully. Zhou acknowledged. A moment later, the soldiers found the lord's residence. Zhou obtained the territory token and regional token from the territory stone tablet in the residence there. 2 hours later, all the loots had been extracted. Moreover, the loots in the entire gravel wilderness had basically been searched and collected by the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Army. Seeing this, Zhou led the Blazing Sun Army soldiers onto the Black Ghost and returned to Blazing Sun City. 5 minutes later, in the Blazing Sun City. At this moment, some of the Blazing Sun City subjects were planting jade sun trees. Some were building city walls, some were patrolling, and some were taking their relatives and friends for a walk in the city. There were all kinds of things in life. At this moment, they suddenly saw an additional black dot in the sky and looked over curiously. In the sky, the black ghost floated in midair. A white light shone on the ground from the center of the spaceship. Zhou, Bai Yin Wu Xian, and 50,000 Blazing Sun Army soldiers immediately appeared out of thin air. We're back. Zhou sighed. Having Black Ghost was an entirely different experience. He immediately made a decision. In the future, this Black Ghost would be their standard equipment for going out to fight. Zhou looked at the surrounding onlookers and smiled. He asked Bai Yin to arrange for the soldiers to reward them before returning to the Lord's residence. A moment later, come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks in the Lord's residence. Zhou looked at the list of loots in his hand. This was the gain from conquering Yellow Earth Plain and Gravel Wilderness. Other than the Wild Stone King's gains, there were 276 white platinum tier mist cores, 12,424 yellow gold tier mist cores, 154,211 white silver tier mist cores, and 146,466 green bronze tier mist cores, 94 origin crystals, 72,121 skill books, and 108,876 equipment. More than 21 million units of basic materials. 45,741 true faith tier scarlet crystals. 31,121 pious tier scarlet crystals. And 2,560 fanatic tier scarlet crystals. A yellow gold tier advanced grade alchemy pharmacist recruitment books. 2 white silver elementary grade alchemy technology recruitment books. 7 mount contracts below the yellow gold tier. 156 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 2 white silver tier, 12 green bronze tier, and 14 black iron tier territory tokens. 2 white silver tier regional tokens. I can upgrade my territory now. Zhou thought. Previously, he was only lacking a white silver tier territory token to upgrade his territory. Now that he had a total of 5 white silver tier territory tokens, he could naturally upgrade them. Thinking of this, he walked out of the Lord's residence and looked at the building in front of him. A line of text appeared. Do you want to upgrade the Lord's residence? Yes, he said. The next second, 2 million units of basic materials, 500 white silver tier mist cores, 20 origin crystals, and 2 white silver tier territory tokens disappeared from the territory warehouse. Boom! A golden light immediately covered the entire Lord's residence. A moment later, the golden light dissipated. A brand new Lord's residence appeared in front of Zhou. Rows of golden text notifications appeared. Congratulations! Your Lord's mansion has been upgraded to a white silver tier advanced grade building. There is an additional film hall. Your territory has been upgraded to a white silver tier advanced grade territory. Territory token endurance increased to 700,000/700,000. Your territory has expanded to 80,000 m times 80,000 m times 10,000 m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Basic building blueprint treasure chest, white silver tier advanced grade. Lord talent hint. The upper limit of the enemy lord faction that you can induce insight defection has been increased to extraordinary tier intermediate grade. Lord talent hint. Your monster ranches can be upgraded. Lord talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord talent hint. The strength of the clergy in your goddess of lives shelter has increased. White silver tier advanced grade territory. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. It has finally been upgraded now. Then, he looked at the basic building blueprint treasure chest, white silver tier advanced grade. He opened it. It was the same as last time. Inside were the basic building blueprints of various territories. However, the last time was at white silver tier intermediate grade. And this time, it was at white silver tier advanced grade. Zhou took a few glances at it before putting it away. He prepared to find a time to hand it to Elder Zhao and let him reward the territory's architect. Then, he looked at the upgrade requirements for the next level of the Lord's residence. Construction upgrade. 1 million units of wood, 1 million units of fine sand, 1 million units of metal, 1 million units of stone, 2,000 white silver tier mist core, 50 origin crystals, 3 white silver tier territory tokens. I have all the materials. I can continue to level up. Seeing this, Zhou leveled up again. Chapter 255 Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade Territory. Strengthened Supreme Barrier. 4 million units of basic materials, 2,000 white silver tier mist cores, 50 origin crystals, and 3 silver tier territory tokens disappeared from the territory warehouse. An even brighter golden light immediately covered the newly upgraded Lord's residence. A moment later, the resplendent golden light dissipated. A brand new building appeared in front of Zhou. It was no longer the previous Lord's residence. Instead, it became an even more luxurious and imposing Lord Manor. A text notification appeared. Congratulations! Your Lord's courtyard has been upgraded to a yellow gold tier elementary grade building and advanced to a Lord Manor. Your Lord's blessing. The supreme barrier has been strengthened. Your territory has been upgraded to yellow gold tier elementary grade. Territory stone tablet endurance increased to 1 million/1 million. Your territory has expanded to 100,000 m times 100,000 m times 20,000 m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Basic building blueprint treasure chest, yellow gold tier elementary grade. Lord talent hint. The upper limit of the enemy lord's faction you can insight through insight defection has been increased to extraordinary tier advanced grade. Lord talent hint. Your monster ranches can be upgraded. Lord talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord talent hint. The strength of the clergy in your goddess of lives shelter has increased. The notification was not over yet. Soon, Zhou's expectant notification sounded. Cerulean Planet's Lord announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun, becoming the first Lord to upgrade his territory to the yellow gold tier elementary grade. Reward: Supreme Treasure Chest +1, Legendary Tier Rate +1. Race's unique title. Glory of the Pioneer 2 advances to Glory of the Pioneer 3. Cerulean Planet World Channel announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Cerulean Planet World Channel announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. The Glory of the Pioneer title has finally advanced. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. He obtained the next Pioneer title before all the other lords again. He originally thought that with the arrival of the Lord Alliance era, it might be a little difficult for him to obtain this new title before all the other lords. After all, the strength of top-notch lords had greatly increased with the establishment of the Alliance. Fortunately, he was still the first. His focus was on the Glory of the Pioneer 4 next. He opened the World Channel. As expected, the lords on the World Channel were all discussing how the Lord of the Blazing Sun had once again taken down the first lord to upgrade his territory to yellow gold tier elementary grade. Lord of the Blazing Sun, my forever god. I knew that the first lord to upgrade to a yellow gold tier elementary grade territory would definitely be my big boss Blazing Sun. A top-notch lord, Big Boss Blazing Sunday. Is there no lord who can surpass Big Boss Blazing Sun? Indeed, can't there be something new? This non-suspenseful feeling is so boring. I thought that after those top lords established the Lord Alliance again, their development speed would surpass that of the Lord of the Blazing Sun and obtain this honor. I didn't expect the person who obtained this honor to still be the Lord of the Blazing Sun. I also saw many people looking down on the Lord of the Blazing Sun. But he's using the truth to slap their faces now. The Lord of the Blazing Sun will definitely be able to suppress the top lords who form the Lord Alliance, even without the Lord Alliance. It's so terrifying. I don't even dare to imagine what the structure of our cerulean planet's human lord will be like after the Lord of the Blazing Sun forms the Lord Alliance. Will the Lord of the Blazing Sun form a Lord Alliance? I'm not sure. I want to see what the Glory of the Pioneer 3 looks like. Lord of the Blazing Sun, Glory of the Pioneer 3. Strongest Novice Lord. It looks something like this. Big Boss Blazing Sun appeared. I'm hugging Big Boss thigh. Big shot teach little sister. Little sister doesn't know how to develop her territory next. Boo-hoo. Lord of the Blazing Sun, Glory of the Pioneer 3. Strongest Novice Lord. My method is to nurture myself in battles. But my situation can't fit the situation of all the lords. Everyone, you still have to adapt to the situation, and play to your strengths, and avoid your weaknesses to develop. Thank you, Big Boss Blazing Sun. Big Boss Blazing Sun doesn't seem so cold. Zhou looked at the heated discussion on the World Channel and smiled. He was not one of those saints who could ignore fame and fortune. He would feel happy when he saw others flattering him. He would feel happy as long as they were not malicious flattery. It was just that it was not so obvious. Therefore, every time he did something big, he could not help but come over to take a look. It had to be said. The flattery made him feel very comfortable. I'm not going to look at it anymore. I'm going to float if I keep looking. Zhou closed the World Channel and entered the upgraded Lord's Manor. It had to be said. The Lord's Manor was indeed much better than the previous Lord's Manor. The size alone was 3 times that of the Lord's residence. Moreover, the number of buildings inside was 3 to 4 times more than the previous Lord's mansion, and they were much more exquisite. He walked around for a while, and quickly arrived at a building he had never seen before. It was the new building, the film hall, that had appeared when he upgraded to white silver tier advanced grade. The film hall. Zhou was curious and walked in. Then, he saw that it was a private film studio. There was also a virtual screen under the projector. On it, various movies, television dramas, documentaries, animations, programs, and even news from the cerulean planet could be played. Zhou looked down curiously. Journey to the West, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, The Legend of Neza, Man and Nature, Animal World, Shawshank's Redemption, Titanic. All kinds of familiar videos could be broadcasted and watched. In the future, I can come here to watch movies and television dramas when I want to relax. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. He was quite satisfied with the appearance of this film hall. After staying in this high continent for a long time, he did miss the cerulean planet a little. These videos could relieve his homesickness. After that, he walked out of the film hall and went to his room. There were not many changes to his room after it was being upgraded, other than the fact that the rooms were bigger and the facilities were more complete and exquisite. He went to the sofa in the living room and sat down. Then he looked at the reward for upgrading his territory. The first was naturally the strengthened Supreme Barrier. Skill name: Lord's Blessing, Supreme Barrier Enhancement. Skill quality: Special. Skill description: an exclusive skill of a lord above the yellow gold tier. Every time a lord occupies a city or builds a city, a supreme barrier will automatically rise in the city after the lord agrees to it. It will be used to prevent the scarlet fog from invading the territory and has the defense power equivalent to a wall. The lord can close the supreme barrier of any territory at any time. Note 1. The defensive ability of the supreme barrier will only be triggered when the city encounters malice or attacks from enemies above the yellow gold tier. Note 2. The supreme barrier cannot be used on the lord battlefield. Chapter 256 Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill. Zhou and Nazario. Zhou's eyes lit up. The supreme barrier can actually defend against attacks. There was actually such a benefit in upgrading his territory to yellow gold tier elementary grade. In the past, the supreme barrier could only block the invasion of the scarlet fog and not any attack. It was equivalent to a gas mask. It could only defend against poison and not bullets. Now that the supreme barrier had been strengthened, it meant that the city under his command would have 2 levels of defense buildings. The first was naturally the wall. The second was the supreme barrier. If the enemy wanted to break through his city, they had to break through the supreme barrier first, then break through his city walls before they could attack the city. This would greatly increase the safety of the territory. In the future, even if something similar to a Night Lord happened again, he did not have to worry about any danger and could rush back calmly. Then, he looked at the basic building blueprint treasure chest, yellow gold tier elementary grade. There were more than 20 yellow gold tier elementary grade basic building blueprints within it. Zhou was quite satisfied with these blueprints. They were different from the blueprints white silver tier and below. Yellow gold tier blueprints were already considered precious items. Yellow gold tier blueprints were worth taking seriously even for his current territory. They could nurture some yellow gold tier architects. Architects at this level were already considered core talents in the territory. These talents could build some yellow gold tier living buildings for the yellow gold tier professionals in the territory. It suited the needs of the subjects. He put away the blueprint and prepared to hand it to Elder Zheng so that he could distribute it. After that, he opened the supreme treasure chest. He realized that there was only a small yellowish gold bottle inside, and there was a yellowish gold medicinal pill in the bottle. A pill? Zhou was a little surprised. Is it an item of the immortal Dao civilization? He picked it up and looked at it. He realized that it was indeed as he had expected. Treasure name: Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill. Treasure grade: yellow gold tier advanced grade. Treasure effect: after any life form absorbs it, their strength will reach the yellow gold tier advanced grade. Treasure description: a cultivation medicinal pill created by the immortal Dao civilization's true immortal Calamity Crossing. It has the advantage of greatly increasing one's strength realm and forcefully raising it to a specific realm without leaving any future cultivation problems. Zhou's eyes widened when he saw this. He immediately thought of the spectral dragon egg he had obtained during the day. Normally speaking, once the spectral dragon egg hatched, it would give birth to a white silver tier elementary grade spectral dragon baby, the same as Nazario's back then. If Zhou wanted it to quickly increase its strength realm, even though it was different from before, and had the blessing of the war god, it would definitely take a long time for the spectral dragon to barely catch up to Nazario. However, it was different with this Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill. He could directly raise the spectral dragon to the yellow gold tier advanced grade and save the process of increasing its strength. When the time comes, his territory would have 2 pure-blooded dragons with top-notch bloodlines and strength. But Zhou suddenly thought of something and hesitated. I can't give it to the young spectral dragon. It should be given to Nazario, he muttered to himself. Thinking of this, Zhou immediately walked out of his room and came to an empty grassland. He called out to Nazario in his heart. Soon, a black shadow landed on the ground and slowly landed accompanied by a gust, blowing the surrounding grass in all directions. It was Nazario. It growled, as if curious why its master had suddenly called it over. Nazario, this is for you. Zhou stretched out his right hand with the calamity-crossing spirit pill in his palm. Nazario's eyes lit up, but it did not eat it immediately. Instead, it looked at Zhou expectantly, as if asking if it was really for it. For you, of course. It's not just that. And this. Zhou extended his left hand, and a book appeared in his palm. It was the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual that he had exchanged from the battlefield shop. Nazario's heart skipped a beat when he saw this low-tier deity-level hero inheritance. This book gave it an extreme attraction, as if its heart was telling it crazily. I have to have it. I really have to have it. Request to my master. Master, please bestow this book to me. With this book, your territory will undergo an unprecedented transformation. Nazario's eyes were red. However, it did not move and only looked at Zhou with anticipation. It would make a request to its master, but it would not do anything else. If its master gave it, it would naturally be very happy. However, even though it would be disappointed if its master did not give it, it would not have a knot in its heart, let alone be dissatisfied with its master. Because in its heart, this book was indeed very important to it. However, it was far less important than its master. Zhou smiled at Nazario's eager gaze. Then, he used the object control technique to send the 2 items to Nazario. These are for you, Nazario. Lower your head, he said. Nazario was stunned for a moment, then lowered its head obediently. Zhou reached out and patted its forehead. It's been hard on you all these time. In the past, my territory had just developed. At that time, even though I wanted to reward you with some things, they were not very meaningful to you, who was already very strong, so I never rewarded you. But even so, you've always worked hard and helped me conquer powerful enemies and develop my territory. Now I can take out something to reward you. These 2 items are just the beginning. I promise. In the future, you will definitely become the happiest dragon among all the dragons. I want all the dragons to think highly of you, even the legendary dragon god. Zhou said seriously. This was his promise. Nazario looked at its master. Suddenly it roared at the sky. Its voice was filled with happiness and satisfaction. All the orders from Blazing Sun City were attracted by this dragon roar. What's wrong with the Guardian? The Guardian seems very happy. It's good to be happy. It's good to be happy. That's right, it's a good thing. No one paid attention to this sudden dragon roar. Instead, they all had smiles on their faces. To Zhou, Nazario was his good helper and companion. To all the subjects, Nazario, who had fought many battles for the territory and brought countless victories, was also a guardian deity worthy of their respect and love. In the Lord's Manor, Nazario, you can rest in the Lord's Manor in the future. In the past, this place was not big enough for you to stay by my side and rest. It's okay now. As for the Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill and the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual, you can use them here with me now. No one will disturb you here. Zhou smiled. Nazario nodded happily. Zhou acknowledged. Then, he chatted with Nazario for a while more before returning to his room. Then, Zhou opened Glory of the Pioneer 3 and checked its title stats. Chapter 257 Glory of the Pioneer 3. New White Silver Tier Lore Talent. Title Name, Glory of the Pioneer 3. Title Quality, Unique Title of the Race, Title Effect 1. You are famous among the lords of Cerulean Planet. More people admire your reputation and yearn to join your territory. The number of subjects that can be summoned through the gate of summoning every day plus 300%. Among the subjects summoned, there will be a class talent of the same level as the territory plus 4. Title Effect 2. Your unique title suffix will be added behind your lord title when you speak in any channel. You can take the initiative to turn it off or activate it. Title Effect 3. When you become the first Cerulean planet lord with a white platinum tier elementary grade territory, this title will be upgraded to Glory of the Pioneer 4 and unlock more title effects. Title Description. The Supreme Will is the exclusive title given to the pioneer among the lords. Every pioneer of every race has a higher chance of achieving extraordinary achievements. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. It had increased by another 100%. And there was another subject of the same level. While the former was no longer very meaningful, after having the new effect of peace and prosperity, the effect of the latter was still very important. Moreover, the higher the level of the territory, the stronger it would be in the later stages. I can summon the subjects tomorrow, and there will be a legendary tier talent coming over. Zhou was looking forward to it. Then, he looked at the materials needed to upgrade his territory to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Construction upgrade. 3 million units of wood, 3 million units of fine sand, 3 million units of metal, 3 million units of stone, 100 yellow gold tier mist core, 80 origin crystals, 1 yellow gold tier territory token. I have all the other materials. I'm only lacking a yellow gold tier territory token. Zhou pondered. A white silver tier territory token could only be obtained by attacking the territory of a white silver tier scarlet lord. That yellow gold tier territory token could probably only be obtained by attacking the territory of a yellow gold tier scarlet lord or a yellow gold tier local lord. Zhou immediately thought of a place. The territory of the Tang Kingdom, Dark Knight Town. Currently, this is the only yellow gold tier territory I know that can still be attacked. Looks like we can only attack here. Thinking of this, Zhou was even more glad that he had obtained the right of passage to the Sandstorm Forbidden Land. Otherwise, his territory might be stuck at the yellow gold tier elementary grade for a long time. After Nazario consumed the Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill and used the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual, it will become a yellow gold tier advanced grade dragon hero with a low tier hero's fate level slot. When the time comes, it should be able to easily defeat the Diamond tier advanced grade Scarlet Lord. It might even be an extraordinary tier enemy. I can even defeat Nazario. Zhou thought. He suddenly froze. In that case, he seemed to be not far from the top combat power of the kingdom. A top-notch kingdom-level combatant was only an extraordinary tier hero after all. He was even more confident in his plan to attack Dark Knight Town thinking of this. After Nazario advanced and became a hero, even if his attack on Dark Knight Town attracted the support of the Taiyan Kingdom, with Nazario's strength, they should be able to retreat unscathed and even carry out a siege operation. Then he stopped thinking about it and went to the Gate of Summoning to upgrade it. Because the territory had already leveled up twice in a row, the Gate of Summoning had successfully advanced to the yellow gold tier elementary grade, after consuming 600,000 units of basic materials, 1,000 white silver tier mist cores, and 100 yellow gold tier mist cores. Congratulations, your Gate of Summoning has been upgraded to a yellow gold tier elementary grade building. You can summon plus 70 subjects every day. You will definitely summon 12 professionals every day among the subjects. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 3, you can summon 645 subjects a day. You will definitely summon 13 professionals every day among the subjects. And the professional levels of 4 of the professionals will be the same as your territory level. From tomorrow onwards, I can summon 645 subjects. Zhou nodded slightly. This number had already exceeded the number of subjects attracted by peace and prosperity every day. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks then, he looked at the requirements to upgrade the Gate of Summoning to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Construction upgrade. 200,000 units of wood, 200,000 units of fine sand, 200,000 units of metal, 200,000 units of stone, 500 yellow gold tier mist core. Territory level upgraded to yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Zhou shook his head. He had to wait for the territory to level up first. He returned to the Lord Manor and entered his room. Then, he took out the white silver tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere he had obtained from the Wild Stone King. A text notification appeared. Do you want to purify it? Purify, Zhou said expectantly. The next second, a golden light flashed on the Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere. Then its information changed. Treasure name, Lord Talent Sphere. Embrace of the Conqueror, treasure grade. White silver tier, treasure effect. The Lord will possess the white silver tier Lord Talent. Embrace of the Conqueror after absorbing it. Treasure description, a Lord Talent Sphere purified by the Supreme Will. After absorbing it, you can obtain a white silver tier Lord Talent. Embrace of the Conqueror. Zhou raised his eyebrows. He looked over. Lord Talent. Embrace of the Conqueror, white silver tier. Embrace of the Conqueror, 1. Every time a lord conquers a territory, he can attract a different number of classless subjects to join his territory. 2. Every time a lord conquers a regional territory, he could attract a different number of professional subjects to join his territory. 3. Every time a lord conquers a kingdom, he could obtain the loyalty of a hero with an extraordinary tier hero's fate level slot. 4. Every time a lord conquers an empire, he could obtain the loyalty of a hero with a legendary tier hero's fate level slot. 5. Every time a lord conquers a divine kingdom, he can obtain the loyalty of a hero with a true god tier hero's fate level slot. So this is the embrace of the Conqueror. No wonder the Wild Stone King destroyed all the lords of Gravel Wilderness and had so many Wild Stone subordinates. Zhou suddenly thought of something. His normal Lord Talent was transformed from the original Scarlet Lord Talent. Not surprisingly, the Wild Stone King's Scarlet Lord Talent should be similar. It's a pity about the Wild Stone King. This can be considered half a growth talent. It can play a good role at all stages of the Lord's development. It's a pity you met me. I intercepted you. Zhou lamented. He felt a little uninterested about this talent. This was because he did not lack classless subjects and class subjects. In addition, he realized that he could drop the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual by killing heroes, so he was destined to not lack heroes in the future. Which meant, the ability of this Lord Talent could only serve as icing on the cake for him. Zhou shook his head. Never mind. It was better than nothing. Then, he closed the Lord Talent panel and willed. Soon, a bloodbat flew in front of Zhou. It was the bloodbat avatar that had gone to the Kingdom of Eternal Silence during the day. It stood on the table in front of Zhou and spat out a spatial ring and a fog monster bag before flying away. Chapter 258 Spectral Dragon Auguste. Zhou watched it fly away. He did not plan to retract this bloodbat avatar into his body. Instead, he planned for it to stay in Blazing Sun City, so that it could be his eyes and microphone. This way, if something similar to a Night Lord happened again, he would be able to know the news immediately. He retracted his gaze and looked at the 2 items on the table. Then, he asked Aaliyah to bring the fog monster bag to Mugu at the Monster Ranch and asked him to nurture the violent storm spirits inside. He also asked Aaliyah, Zheng Fugui, and Carol Moeli to come and see him later. Aaliyah received the order and left. When Zhou saw this, his gaze landed on the spatial ring. He picked it up and took out the 5 treasures he had traded during the day. Firstly, it was naturally the spectral dragon egg and the accompanying soul contract. Zhou looked at the soul contract. After seeing its specific information, he knew how to use it. As long as he stuck the soul contract on the dragon egg and used a wisp of mental power to come into contact with it to appease the spectral dragon baby in the eggshell, he could try to sign a soul contract with it after it became docile. Why is it so troublesome? Didn't I just drip my blood on the egg when I made Nazario recognize me as its master? Zhou muttered in his heart. However, he did not plan to follow the steps of Nazario recognizing him as its master. He could not afford such a loss if anything were to go wrong. He obediently placed the soul contract on the dragon egg and sent a wisp of mental strength into the soul contract. Soon, through the soul contract, he sensed a confused consciousness in this spectral dragon egg. Zhou perked up. This should be the consciousness of the spectral dragon. He carefully probed with his mental strength and came into contact with this spectral dragon young dragon. He emitted a consciousness that was similar to friendliness, concern, care, and love. The young spectral dragon had no resistance to such consciousness. It immediately transmitted a lonely, yearning, intimate, docile, and dependent emotion to Zhou's spiritual power like a curious baby. Zhou was stunned. It actually succeeded so easily. He immediately began to sign a soul contract without hesitation. The next second, the contract was signed with no hiccups. Zhou immediately felt a soul connection with the spectral dragon in the dragon egg. It was somewhat similar to Nazario, but there were some subtle differences. Perhaps it was because their stats were different, one was fire, and the other was spectral, so it gave him this feeling. Zhou guessed. At this moment, it transmitted another memory to Zhou. It was a memory from the dragon egg. Actually, this spectral dragon baby already had its own consciousness thousands of years ago. However, it was born deficient back then. In addition, even though the spectral dragon was comparable to a pure-blooded dragon, it was still not liked by the orthodox pure-blooded dragons. Therefore, it was abandoned by its mother a long time ago. It was born with a congenital deficiency and did not have the nurturing of its mother. It relied on its ghost talent to subconsciously absorb the surrounding death energy and soul energy to survive in its half-conscious state. Zhou knew everything that happened after that. The King of Eternal Silence and his wife unintentionally found this spectral dragon egg and placed it in the deepest depths of the Eternal Silence Kingdom. It was nurtured by absorbing the rich undead aura in the deepest depths of the ground. Thousands of years passed. The young spectral dragon gradually made up for its innate shortcomings and regained its consciousness. However, it could not break out of its shell because of the confinement of the rock layer around the eggshell, and because no one took it away. Therefore, it guarded the darkness in the eggshell for more than 1,000 years, until the King of Eternal Silence encountered the mysterious caravan and traded it to Zhou. So it's a poor little guy. Zhou sighed with emotion. He carried the dragon egg to an empty courtyard and gently placed it on the ground. Then he stood up and looked at the dragon egg. Come out. There's no need to continue guarding the darkness in the dragon egg, he said gently, as soon as he finished speaking. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Zhou could feel the spectral dragon in the dragon egg emitting excitement and desire. Crack, crack, crack. Cracks appeared on the surface of the dark blue eggshell. 3 to 4 seconds later, bang! A strange little dragon, whose entire body was dark blue, and whose crystal white skeleton could be vaguely seen, broke out of the dragon egg. It stretched its body. Soon it revealed its entire body. After completely stretching its body, it looked at Zhou with an intimate and dependent expression. Zhou could not help but touch its head. It was cold and slippery but very sturdy. It was not as strong as Nazario's defense when it was born, but it was not too far off. The little spectral dragon had no resistance to its master's head touching. Instead, it took the initiative to lean its head against Zhou's hand and rub it. Zhou smiled and retracted his hand after touching it for a while. The little spectral dragon looked at Zhou for a while before retracting its gaze reluctantly. Then it lowered its head and started eating its eggshell. During the process of eating the eggshell, the strength aura and dragon might emitted from its body gradually increased. Fortunately, Zhou had the will of the Dragon Slayer King. Therefore, facing its dragon might was like a breeze. Soon, the 2-meter-tall eggshell was completely eaten by it. At this moment, its strength had already reached the green bronze tier advanced grade. Zhou looked at it. Attribute information appeared. Pet. Does not have a name yet. Race. Spectral dragon growth stage. Infancy strength level. Green bronze tier advanced grade skills. Ghost dragon breath, dragon might. Draconic magic mastery. Soul magic mastery. Undead magic mastery. Thrilling dragon roar. Dragon bone shield. Soul secret whisper. Unawakened. Spectral Dragon Clone, Unawakened. Summoning Undead Unawakened. Legendary Tier Physics Immunity. Awakening Level 1%. Legendary Tier Soul Immunity. Awakening Level 1%. Extraordinary Tier Elemental Immunity. Awakening Level 1%. Potential, Legendary Tier. Loyalty Dead Loyal. Personality. Silent, bloodthirsty, intelligent, cold, likes to be alone, relies on his master, and is antisocial. Pet description. An innate ghost dragon with noble bloodline. A different pure-blooded dragon. Be it strength or potential, it is one of the best among the myriad races in the myriad worlds. Due to its stats, its innate destructive power is incomparably powerful. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. As expected of a spectral dragon, these stats were not inferior to Nazario's at all. Let's call you Auguste. Zhou said. The little spectral dragon was a male, and this name meant the dead king in the supreme common language. Zhou felt that it was quite suitable. Auguste nodded happily. At this moment a guard hurried in. I've something to report, my lord. Lord Mugu, Lord Zhengfugue, and Lord Carol Moeli request an audience. He said respectfully. Let them in. Zhou said. Yes, my lord. The guard received the order and left. Chapter 259 Enhance Lord Talent. The Violent Storm Spirit, Wang Han. At this moment, a huge black shadow flew over. It was Nazario. It landed beside Auguste, and looked at the little guy beside it with surprise in its scarlet dragon eyes. Auguste also looked at it curiously. Then it took unfamiliar steps and staggered towards Nazario. Nazario snorted. In an instant, the dragon might that erupted from its body immediately stunned Auguste. Nazario looked at it quietly. It was as if he was saying, "Don't come near me." Auguste was stunned. This feeling of being despised was familiar. Nazario, this is your future comrade. Zhou frowned slightly when he saw this. However, he quickly thought of the reason why Nazario treated Auguste like this. Bloodline biasness. This was because Auguste was a spectral dragon. Nazario, as an orthodox pure-blooded dragon, looked down on it even though it was born a natural spectral dragon. When Nazario heard its master's words, it retracted its dragon might even though it was a little unwilling. Auguste was still a young baby dragon after all. It quickly forgot its previous unhappiness and pounced on Nazario's thigh. Nazario was very disgusted, but it did not kick it away. When Zhou saw this, he could not help but rub his eyebrows helplessly. It seemed that this was the only way. Bloodline was what the dragon race valued the most. Even the dragons were divided into all kinds of different dragons because of their bloodline. This was a matter decided by the race. He could not change it. It was already quite good that Nazario and Auguste could get along like this. At this moment, Mugu, Zhengfugue, and Carol Moeli came to the courtyard and saw the two dragons immediately. They were stunned. Nazario, go back and continue absorbing the Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill and the Hero Inheritance. Auguste, stay here for now. Don't disturb Nazario for the time being. I'll take you out to play tomorrow, Zhou said. Nazario nodded slightly, glanced at Auguste which flapped its dragon wings to fly away. Auguste's eyes lit up when it heard Zhou's words. It nodded obediently and ran to the side to play. Zhou looked at Mugu and the other two. Come with me, he said. Originally, he wanted to continue looking at the remaining 4 treasures. However, since they were already here, he would see their improvement first. Yes, my lord, the 3 of them said respectfully. Then, he followed Zhou to a meeting hall in the middle of the lord's manor. In the meeting hall, after the 4 of them arrived, Zhou sat down first before the 3 of them sat down. The territory has been upgraded to yellow gold tier elementary grade. Tell me about your growth. Mugu, come first. Zhou looked at Mugu. Yes. Mugu stood up and said respectfully, after my lord's territory was upgraded to yellow gold tier elementary grade, my strength also increased to yellow gold tier elementary grade. The number of monster ranches that I can manage has already reached 10. The maximum capacity of each monster ranch has increased from 2,000 to 3,000. The upper limit of the monsters that I can nurture has also increased to the yellow gold tier elementary grade. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. In that case, his fixed income from the monster ranch every day would definitely more than double. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. As for how much it would increase, it would depend on the specific gains tomorrow. He suddenly felt a little emotional. Even though he already had a total of 14 Lord talents, the one that could really stabilize his strength was this monster ranch. Of course, its fixed income was also thanks to the help of the other Lord talents. He opened Mugu's personal information and realized that his various skills had advanced to yellow gold tier elementary grade, with his advancement to yellow gold tier elementary grade. There were also some yellow gold tier elementary grade skills that he had never seen before, but were related to monster nurturing. Build as many of the remaining monster ranches you can. Don't worry about no new monsters being farmed for the time being. At most, they would be kept as backup. Zhou said to Mugu. In any case, the monster ranches had to be built sooner or later. He might as well build them earlier. This way, when new monsters with protection value were captured in the future, he could directly throw them in. Yes, my lord, Mugu said respectfully. Zhou nodded and looked at Zheng Fugue. Elder Zheng, tell me about it too. Yes, my lord. Zheng Fugue stood up with a chuckle. Reporting to my lord. With the upgrade of the territory, the number of our caravan has increased from 50 to 200. In addition, our carriages have increased from 50 to 100 now. The abilities of all the mysterious merchant have also been upgraded to yellow gold tier elementary grade. Zhou acknowledged. With this improvement, the mysterious caravan could sell and buy more goods in the future. He finally looked at Carol Moeli. Reporting to my lord. We already have 50 clergymen, 50 priests, 100 nuns, and 100 life paladins in the shelter. Moreover, the strength of all the clergy has increased to yellow gold tier elementary grade. I've also advanced from white platinum tier advanced grade to diamond elementary grade. Carol Moeli said respectfully. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He was even happier. The shelter of the goddess of life concerned whether or not the soldiers who died in battle could be resurrected, and how many of them could be resurrected. This was extremely important to him. After that, Zhou asked them to go back separately before looking at the next treasure. Item name: Spirit Violent Storm Class Change Certificate. Item level: Gradeless. Item effect: Kingdom level combat class change tool. After using it, you can become the spirit of the kingdom level combat class, Violent Storm. You will also have a set of black iron tier elementary grade standard equipment, 20 years of combat experience of the spirit of the Violent Storm, and the initial strength of the black iron tier elementary grade. Item description: Kingdom level combat class certificate. Just one can allow ordinary people without any strength to step onto the extraordinary tier path of a combat professional. Item name: Violent Storm Spirit Recruitment Books. Item level: Diamond tier elementary grade. Item effect: Kingdom level combat class recruitment books. Throw them into the Gate of Summoning, and you can summon a black iron tier elementary grade Violent Storm Spirit with white platinum tier elementary grade potential to become your subject. Item description: A kingdom level combat class from the Kingdom of Eternal Silence. It has powerful spell destruction and physical damage immunity. The King of Eternal Silence is actually so generous. He directly gave the Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books with white platinum tier advanced grade potential. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. This potential was already comparable to a legendary tier talent. He took this recruitment book to the Gate of Summoning and threw it in. Soon, a young man wearing the Wind and Thunder robe and holding the Wind and Thunder staff walked out of the Gate of Summoning. Violent Storm Spirit Wang Han. Greetings, my lord. His voice was cold and respectful. Chapter 260: The Powerful Violent Storm Spirit. Greedy Wolf Totem. Rise. Welcome to Blazing Sun City. Zhou smiled. It's my honor to become your subject, my lord. Wang Han said respectfully. Zhou acknowledged. Then, he looked at his attribute panel. Subject: Wang Han. Territory: Blazing Sun City. Combat Class Name. Violent Storm Spirit. Strength Level. Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Ability Overview. A resident from Violent Storm Island who has the elemental talent to control wind and lightning since he was young. After joining the Wind and Thunder Gate, the sect master valued his aptitude and taught him the combat class of the Violent Storm Spirit. He is currently undergoing a sect quest to train outside. He accidentally joined Blazing Sun City and became the subject of the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Skills. Talent. Wind and Thunder Spirit Body. Kingdom Level Combat Talent. Elemental Incarnation. Kingdom Level Combat Skill. Death Violent Storm. Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Controlling Wind Spirit. Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Controlling Thunder Spirit. Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Listening to Wind Whisper. Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Thunder Flash. Extraordinary Tier Physical Damage Immunity. Awakening Level 1%. Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Damage Immunity. Awakening Level 1%. Loyalty, 85 Potential. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Jojo clicked his tongue. This attribute panel was a little strong. Even though it was not as strong as the initial interface of the Divine Kingdom Soldier type, Maris, it was only inferior to non-hero soldier types and non-dragon units like Maris. He suddenly looked forward to it. The Violent Storm Spirit was already so strong. Wouldn't he take off immediately after Mugu nurtured a large number of Violent Storm Spirits tomorrow and created a large number of combat professionals? Then, he suddenly thought of something and looked at the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate in his hand. We can't waste these class change certificates of the Spirits of Violent Storm. It's a kingdom-level combat class certificate after all. Maybe I can change some low-level soldiers to kingdom soldiers like the Violent Storm Spirits. Jojo thought. He thought for a moment and asked Atli to gather all the combat-type professionals in the territory to come to him. A moment later, 16 people appeared in front of him. Jojo looked at them. These 16 people were the current soldier-type professionals and combat professionals in his territory. They were Sword Shield Soldier, Pudeo Soldier, Spear Soldier, Crossbowman, Bowman, Cavalryman, Scouts, Crossbowman, Poison Crossbowman, Musketeer, Star Musketeers, Water Crossbowman, Aurora Cavalryman, Sand Corps Summoners, Elemental Archers. Jojo handed the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate to them and asked them to try to change their classes one by one. Soon, the results were out. Other than the Sand Corps Summoners and Elemental Archers, who could change their profession to the Violent Storm Spirit, the other professionals could not change their profession to the Violent Storm Spirits. Jojo understood the reason immediately. This was because the Violent Storm Spirit was a combat class that focused on casting abilities. Among these professionals, only the Sand Corps Summoners and Elemental Archers focused on casting spells. As for intermediate grade soldiers like the Cavalrymen, even though they had a certain level of spellcasting ability, their spellcasting ability was biased towards support in their respective class systems. It was not the dominant ability of their respective class. Therefore, it was not suitable for them to change their class. Jojo pondered. Could only the Sand Corps Summoners and Elemental Archers change their profession to the Violent Storm Spirits? He thought for a moment and quickly made a decision. Since that was the case, he would change all the Sand Corps Summoners to the Violent Storm Spirits. In any case, the Sand Corps Summoners had a very low presence in his Blazing Sun army. Their role on the battlefield was not so obvious. Sometimes their role was not even as direct as the basic military types. Most importantly, the ability of the Sand Corps Summoners was to transform the flesh and blood of monsters into sand corpses, thereby creating controllable combat strength. However, not all monsters were flesh-type monsters. Moreover, if the flesh and blood of monsters were really turned into sand corpses, it meant that this monster corpse could not collect loots. This would be disadvantageous to Jojo. Since that was the case, he might as well turn this useless intermediate-grade combat class, Sand Corps Summoners, into the Violent Storm Spirit, a kingdom-level combat class. Not only that, since the Sand Corps Summoners were useless, he might as well remove its Monster Ranch and change it to the Monster Ranch of the Violent Storm Spirits. There are a total of 10 monster ranches that Mu Guam can manage now. 7 of them have been occupied by 7 types of monsters. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. If we remove the Sand Corpse Summoner's Monster Ranch, there will be 4 monster ranches free. If that's the case, why don't we nurture the violent storm spirits in these 4 monster ranches? Zhou thought for a moment, and his eyes lit up. This was also very simple. The King of Eternal Silence had given him 10 violent storm demon spirits in the pockets of the fog monsters. He could just distribute these 10 violent storm demon spirits to the 4 monster ranches. Then, he would see 4 monster ranches that nurtured the violent storm spirits the next day. Zhou looked forward to it. The 4 monster ranches jointly produced the Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books and the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate. Before long, he would form a team of violent storm spirits under his command. It could even form an army of violent storm spirits. When the time comes, his Blazing Sun army could have combat strength not inferior to the dragons even without Nazario. As for the elemental archers, Zhou did not intend to turn them into the violent storm spirits. The Sand Corpse Summoners were only intermediate grade combat class. However, it was a high-level soldier-type class. Zhou did not want to give it up so easily. As for finding any monsters worth joining the monster ranch in the future, he would just revoke the monster ranch that was the violent storm spirits. Then, he asked Wang Han to look for Wuxia and temporarily join the Blazing Sun army. In the future, he would follow the army to fight. Then, he returned to the Backlord Manor and looked at the next treasure, the Kingdom Token. I have 2 Kingdom Tokens now. What should we do with this? Sell it, Zhou muttered in his heart. He only needed 1 Kingdom Token to establish a kingdom, so the second Kingdom Token would be idle. However, Zhou was a little unwilling to sell it. This was a Kingdom Token that only mythical tier lords had the right to exchange for at this stage. There was no need to mention its preciousness. It would be a pity to sell it. Perhaps it would be useful in the future? He thought for a long time, but could not think of a way to deal with it. He simply put it away and waited for the time when he could use it in the future. Then he looked at the 4th treasure, Greedy Wolf Totem. He looked at its specific stats and abilities, and the result was naturally the same as what the King of Eternal Silence had said. If used well, it will be a killing machine on the battlefield. If I can condense a greedy wolf avatar with extraordinary tier intermediate grade strength, it'll be almost invincible among all the lords. Zhou thought. He thought for a moment and called Wuxia over. Then, he handed the greedy wolf totem to him. Elder Wu, I'll give you this greedy wolf totem. Try your best to train the soldiers and master the greedy wolf moon howling array inside as soon as possible. This array formation is very useful to us. Zhou said in a low voice. Wuxia had the hero skill, desired military morale. If he wanted to quickly master this greedy wolf totem, it would definitely be Wuxia. Yes, my lord. Wuxia was shocked when he saw the attributes of the greedy wolf totem. He immediately realized the lord's expectations of him. Even though he felt that he had a heavy responsibility on his shoulders, he still agreed without hesitation. He would not disappoint. How could he let his master down? Zhou acknowledged. Then, he chatted with Wuxia for a while before letting him leave. Then, Zhou looked at the last treasure. The strange treasure, the Heavenly Mist treasure bag. Chapter 261 Untitled. Zhou looked at the strange treasure. Strange treasure name. Heavenly Mist treasure bag. Strange treasure grade. Special. Wondrous item effect. It can condense a low-level mist core into a high-level mist core. It can also transform a high-level mist core into a low-level mist core. The conversion ratio between a high-level mist core and a low-level mist core is 1:10. It can condense a legendary tier mist core at most. Strange treasure description. A strange treasure that can transform high-level and low-level mist cores. After reading it, he took out 10 black iron tier mist cores and placed them in the Heavenly Mist treasure bag. The next second, this Heavenly Mist treasure bag sent him a message and asked him if he needed to condense a green bronze tier mist core. Zhou agreed in his heart. He soon felt his heavenly mist treasure bag heat up slightly. Zhou was stunned. Then, when he opened the heavenly mist treasure bag again, he saw a green bronze tier mist core lying quietly in the bag. He clicked his tongue in wonder. Then, he took out another yellow gold tier mist core and placed it in the heavenly mist treasure bag and turned it into 10 white silver tier mist cores, then into 100 green bronze tier mist cores, and then into 1,000 black iron tier mist cores. In the end, Zhou restored it to a yellow gold tier mist core. A magical strange treasure. Zhou sighed. With this strange treasure, he would not have to worry about lacking high-level mist cores in the future. He could just use this bag to condense a large number of low-level mist cores if he needed them. Then, he threw all his mist cores into the heavenly mist treasure bag. There were a total of 86,845,863 black iron tier mist cores, 966,803 green bronze tier mist cores, 435,016 white silver tier mist cores, 39,639 yellow gold tier mist cores, 816 white platinum tier mist cores, 12 diamond tier mist cores. This heavenly fog treasure bag can actually store an unlimited amount of mist cores that is similar to infinite space. Zhou's eyes lit up when he saw the mist core in the treasure bag. There were so many mist cores because he had been too busy to sell anything for the past 2 days. Otherwise, he would only have more mist cores in his hands. Let's try the upper limit of this strange treasure. Thinking of this, Zhou immediately used 80 million black iron tier mist cores and 200,000 white silver tier mist cores to condense a legendary tier mist core. He took out the legendary tier mist core. This was a mist core that emitted a resplendent golden light and even emitted a faint pressure. It looked extremely magical. Zhou clicked his tongue. 80 million black iron tier mist cores and 200,000 white silver tier mist cores can only condense one legendary tier mist core. This legendary tier mist core is really valuable. Zhou played with it carefully for a while before solemnly putting it into his heavenly mist treasure bag. In the future, the Heaven Fog treasure bag would be his exclusive money bag. After that, he returned to the territory stone tablet in his room. Then, he took out the 3 white silver tier regional tokens he had obtained from capturing the territory today and pasted them on the territory stone tablet. Soon, rows of golden text notifications appeared. Congratulations on obtaining a white silver tier regional token, Dust Wasteland, and officially becoming the regional lord of this region. Dust Wasteland white silver tier has been added to your regional territory. You have obtained a regional treasure chest, exclusive to Dust Wasteland. Congratulations on obtaining a white silver tier regional token, Yellow Earth Plain. You have officially become the regional lord of this region. New Yellow Earth Plain white silver tier has been added to your regional territory. You have obtained a regional treasure chest, exclusive to Yellow Earth Plain. Congratulations on obtaining a white silver tier regional token, Gravel Wilderness, and officially becoming the regional lord of this region. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Gravel Wilderness white silver tier has been added to your regional territory. You have obtained a regional treasure chest, exclusive to Gravel Wilderness. Zhou opened his regional territory column. He looked over. Regional territory, Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier, Sand Gold Land Black Iron Tier, Thorn Dune Black Iron Tier, Blackrock Desert Silent Wasteland, Withered Forest Plains White Silver Tier, Dust Wasteland White Silver Tier, Yellow Earth Plain White Silver Tier, Gravel Wilderness White Silver Tier. The 9th regional territory. If nothing goes wrong tomorrow, there should be a 10th regional territory. I hope I'm the first lord to own 10 regional territories. This way, I might be able to make another lord announcement on the entire channel. Zhou thought. Then he thought of something and could not help but frown slightly. This was because he did not dare to guarantee anything. He felt that he might not be the first to own 10 regional territories. These regional territories were obtained by conquering the surrounding regional territories, step by step after all. Among these regional territories, There were Black Iron Tier regional territories, Bronze Tier regional territories, and even mini Silver Tier regional territories. This kind of behavior actually could not allow him to quickly own 10 regional territories. If some lords wanted to take advantage of the situation, they could completely find 10 Black Iron Tier regional territories through gathering information or other methods. Then they could spend less time than him to easily attack them. Then he might miss the next lord announcement. He could not help but look at the sky. At this moment, the sky was completely dark. Even the scarlet fog had already begun to appear in large patches and quickly spread throughout the world. At this moment, it's impossible to go out and capture ownerless territory. Zhou shook his head. He gave up on the idea of going out and occupying another territory. Forget it. If he really missed it, so be it. In any case, he had been on the entire channel's Lord announcement too many times. It didn't matter. It was not good to monopolize too much limelight. He stopped thinking about it and looked at the 3 regional treasure chests that had just appeared out of thin air in front of him. The other top-notch lords naturally thought of what Zhou could think of. Some people even put it into practice themselves. However, the result stunned them. More than 2 hours ago, Undead Lord's territory. In a coffin in the center of the cemetery, the Undead Lord, Zhang Han, finally looked at the territory stone tablet in front of him in disbelief, after waiting for a long time. Why? I've already given you 10 regional tokens. Why hasn't the Lord announcement appeared? Could I have made a mistake? If you want to appear on the entire channel's Lord announcement related to the number of territories captured next time, isn't it 10 regional territories? Could it be 20? 30? The Undead Lord could not help but doubt his life. However, no one could tell him the answer. No one could tell the other lords who wanted to use this opportunity to appear on the entire channel's Lord announcement. If Zhou took the initiative to ask, he might be given an answer with his qualifications to be admired by the Supreme Will. However, even though Zhou was puzzled, he had almost forgotten that he was admired by the Supreme Will. Therefore, he did not take the initiative to ask, so no one knew why. In the Lord's manner, Zhou looked at the 3 regional treasure chests in front of him, and finally chose to open the regional treasure chest from the Dust Wasteland first. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.